Previously on The Rich Eisen Show.
Greg Cosell here on The Rich Eisen Show. So it sounds like you're not very high on Tua, Greg.
I would say he's a good prospect. I don't think he's a great prospect. I don't think there's anything about Tua's game when you watch him that you say, wow. I happen to be a Jordan Love fan. I like Jordan Love's game. I like his overall talent level. I like the fact that he's a ball distributor, that he's also a rhythm player.
So do you take Herbert over Tua?
I would potentially take Love over Tua, and I would take Love over Herbert.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now. Live.
The question is, how's it going to go?
This is The Rich Eisen Show. Live from The Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
We're kind of like the number one overall pick.
The Cincinnati Bengals select
Rich Eisen, Chris Brockman, Mike Del Tufo.
I'm into it.
I don't know about that.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com. Today's guests, two-time Super Bowl champion Chris Long, comedian Bill Burr, plus Iowa offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Welcome to this edition of The Rich Eisen Show.
What just happened over there?
For our radio audience, Rich Eisen Show, social media grandmaster, TJ Jefferson adding all sorts of props now to the introduction of our guest list. He's standing by our leaderboard over there at our nice little putting green that we have on the corner of our LA studio. We're still very fortunate, knocking on wood, to be able to come in, practice safe social distancing, and be healthy and hardy enough to do this show in times where we're hoping this is something you're looking for and a diversion that you need and that we're happy to provide. You just threw, what was those? Those are fake dollar bills, right? Because we need to pick them up. We're very budget conscious around here right now. That those are fake dollar bills, correct, Christopher?
As far as I know.
Okay,
yeah, as far as
very
I know,
good.
Yeah.
But he made it rain over there. Hey, everybody, it's a Friday edition of the show, and we are less than 3 weeks now away from the NFL draft. 3 weeks from today, we'll be talking about what went down in the first round, and we've got a surefire, bona fide first-round draft choice joining us in the middle of our final hour, Tristan Wirfs of the University of Iowa, who had one of the best combines I've ever seen, from a 6'5", 320-pound man who ran 4.85, and his 40-yard dash.
So fast.
I mean, he's insane. When he ran, it was insane, and his legs make Saquon Barkley's look like ours. I mean, you want to talk about Quadzilla? I mean, this guy was unbelievable. And he's not even expected to be the first lineman taken off the boards. That's supposed to be Jedrick Wills of Alabama. And then you've got Mekhi Becton,
right,
who at 19,000 pounds ran a 5-second 40-yard dash.
Did you see that video of him last week, like pushing a truck?
Becton, right?
Yeah, to work out.
Okay, and Wirfs has enough to be the first lineman taken too. Throw those guys in that mix. And CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, my fellow member of the tribe, and Henry Ruggs. Those are three top-flight wide receivers. And then you throw in Isaiah Simmons and Jeff Okudah. And then you throw in, just name another defensive lineman not named Chase Young. And then you throw in Tua and Herbert and Joe Burrow, and that's when you realize this is a friggin' deep draft.
This draft is loaded, man.
You're sitting there 15th, 16th, 17th overall just by somebody maybe jumping up to take a position of need, pushing down somebody who they don't need into your neck of the woods of 20th overall. I'm serious. That's how deep this is. Now, obviously, neck up, you got to make sure that these guys who are, physically gifted can play football in the crucible of a third or fourth quarter, certainly in a rookie season. That's obvious. But, I mean, I'm telling you what, man. Joe Burrow today sent out a tweet. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah.
And again, I mean, these are all aspects of selling yourself. If he doesn't need to sell himself, I do think he's first overall. I know that there's that report that the Dolphins were trading up to go get him, maybe.
I hope that's true.
Well, I mean, because that's what you talk about, number one overall.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's who it's for. But we're showing it on the screen today. He tweeted out one of the first things this morning on the 3rd of April. Today would have been our pro day, a day I had been looking forward to for a long time, and the last time the 2019-2020 LSU Tigers competed together. I miss my guys.
Go Tigers.
Thank you very much. That's not him from the Super Bowl where we asked him to imitate Coach O, right? No. Leader of men. Joe Burrow, first overall pick. Chase Young, second overall pick. Lions, third overall. Who wants it?
Now we party.
Who wants it? Could somebody trade up with the Greg Cosell mindset of Tua is not all that? Let's trade up for Justin Herbert. I still can't get over what Greg Cosell had to say, that Tua was a good prospect, not a great one. I haven't heard another soul say that. And Greg Cosell normally knows a lot of what he's talking about,
Talked about his athleticism.
Giants are definitely taking a pass protector. Is it Wills? Could it be Tristan Wirfs? Albert Breer is going to join us at the top of the third hour. Chris Long's going to join us shortly. He's one of the guys I reached out to. Look, as we're moving our way through, this no live sports world on this show, and again, we appreciate you taking us in, whether you're listening to us, 844-204-RICH, call us. Whether you're watching us, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Please hit the subscribe button. That's the way that we're knowing that you're out there. And we appreciate it. And you call us at 844-204-RICH from the wormhole, the 454s who like going on our chat room. That's another way that you can connect with us. Tweet us at Rich Eisen Show. But when we're doing this, we're fumbling for the light switch just as anyone else, okay? And we're not just going to create an argument just to create an argument so you get all pissed off and call us, or you get pissed off and share a video with somebody. That's not the way we do it. I just want to get somebody who's thought-provoking, who's smart, and will give you a nice 10, 15, maybe 20-minute long respite from the world as you're watching us. So when I knew we were going to be back in studio this week, last week when we did all of our shows from my office on Zoom, and from my office, maybe part of my own personal draft future, looks more and more with each passing day. I will be hosting the NFL draft from my home office for NFL Network, planting a new studio flag for NFL Network.
You're going to spice up the background? I mean, people have taken their, studio, per home offices and all the knickknacks in the background to the next level.
This is a conversation for another day. I appreciate that question. The answer is most likely yes.
Okay, good.
I'm just
looking out for you.
The answer is most likely yes,
okay.
And I know exactly the person who is going to be taking over that sort of idea.
Did she happen to live with you?
She happens to live with me. She is the woman who cooked up and helped put on the planet, the young lady for whom nobody is the boss of. Well. My wife, Susie Schuster.
Good.
But that's for another day. So I called Chris Long and I'm like, hey, let's get you on. Because I just want to know what he's thinking. He's just got I love the way his brain works. He's funny. Guy's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. I love his story. Second overall pick out of Virginia to St. Louis. He was part of those St. Louis Rams teams that were absolutely dreadful with the exception of one year where they spiked. Then he winds up going to New England, then goes to Philadelphia. Right? So winning 2 Super Bowls, and now he is where he is, at home and doing some his own podcast work, and I can't wait to chat with him. And then, because we can all use the laugh. We had fun yesterday with Jeff Schaefer, the Curb Your Enthusiasm, Dave, Lil Dicky, executive producer, writer, director. Brilliant saying that Larry David was society's sky judge. That was fantastic.
The world's sky judge.
The world's society at writ large, the sky judge is Larry David. Sees everything and reviews everything. Gives everything further review from spite to every other emotion. Bill Burr will join us on the program. You know, he's got his Monday morning podcast. He's also got F is for Family on Netflix. He will be part of a huge live stream. Let's get some more information on this. Would you mind looking that up for me, Chris, as we're spitballing this?
Yeah.
A comedy live stream that's trying to raise as much money as possible to fight the awful scourge that is descended upon us. Bill Burr will be joining us on the program. I think he's watching a ton of the classic sports that's showing up on TV. Obviously, I think he's going to have something to say about Tom Brady being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Man, I love Bill Burr. He is one of my favorites, and he's going to be joining us on the program.
So it's put on by All Things Comedy. It's tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
They're streaming Comedy Gives Back Laugh Aid on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay.
Bill Burr, Ken Jeong, Craig Robinson, a bunch of others.
Jeff Ross, right? Our
are
buddy
going to
Jeffrey
be
Ross?
doing this. You can go to comedygivesback.com to find out more.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. Yeah, he said that he's loving all the classic sports being shown on all the sports TV. Speaking of which, last night, everyone was live tweeting the Vince Young Texas versus USC.
Oh, great game.
Rose Bowl.
Yes.
One of the greatest games in the history of that beautiful stadium up there in Pasadena, California.
That was a
2005.
great game.
Unbelievable.
The number of people that were live tweeting that. Next week, there's going to be all sorts of Masters.
Yeah,
re-airs.
CBS announced they're re-showing
And ESPN, too.
Phil Mickelson's winning round, his first ever Masters championship on Saturday.
Yes.
And then Sunday, they're going to run back Tiger's final round from last year.
And also a third, I think the 1975 Masters with Tom Weitzkopf, Jack, and I forget who else was doing battle in the 75 Masters. That is the one I particularly want to see because nothing beats seeing
Johnny Miller,
right? Nothing beats not only the plaid pants that they'll probably be wearing, nothing beats probably the sound of the persimmon woods hitting the golf balls.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing beats probably the old school, like, chill guitar music going to break. You know, nothing beats the fact that they probably have no graphics on the screen. None. The leaderboard maybe will show up once every 20 minutes.
I'll tell you, that's been the one thing about
anything.
watching all these old games. Like, we rewatched MLB Network played the Jack Morris 10-inning Game 7 in 91 World Series.
Been amazing.
No graphics, so we have no idea what the score is, what the
count
inning is,
I know.
the count.
And you have no idea. Did the ball hit the block or not? Where's the box?
Yeah.
Where's the strike
Like,
zone
we're
box?
so spoiled now with all this technology.
I know. So we'll talk about that a little bit with Bill Burr. Maybe we'll get another surprise caller in here today, too. Maybe we'll get the Roastmaster General calling in today, too, just for little laughs.
Let's do it.
Because I want to get as much money raised for
absolutely.
for what these comedians are all getting. To Comedy Gives Back. Okay, great. Let's make sure we know all that. Do you have a poll question over there, Chris?
I do.
Great. What do you have?
Yeah,
over there
I do.
For the day?
Cool. I know we do this every year, but I feel like we need it now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Today's Eddie Murphy's 59th birthday.
Okay.
Also, Alec Baldwin is 62. Would have been Marlon Brando's 96th birthday today.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, let's just do best Eddie Murphy movie. Coming to America, Trading Places, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop.
I guess those are the four.
Those are the four biggies.
What a run. 48 Hours.
By the way, all of those in like 4 years, by the way.
48 Hours was the first one, right? I had a place. It went 48 Hours, Trading Places. Then it went Coming to America, right? What's the fourth one?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, and then Beverly Hills Cop, and then Coming to America. I think it went in that
48
direction.
Hours was first in 1982, Trading Places the following year, Beverly Hills Cop 1984, and Coming to America 1988.
Good morning, my neighbors. One of my favorite scenes in any movie.
Okay, that's how we're rolling. Let's take a break. We already have some phone calls. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll take your calls right after Chris Long, then Bill Burr, then Albert Breer, then Tristan Wirfs, and then maybe we'll have a few surprises along the way, because that's how we're rolling here on this Friday edition of The Rich Eisen Show. Oh, man, Bill Withers passed away.
Yeah, I thought you knew, Rich.
I didn't. Did he have COVID-19?
No.
No. It was natural.
Natural. He was 81.
Oh, man.
I mean, our song, Rich.
Oh, Lovely Day, right? Lovely Day is one of the
Sunshine,
greatest songs of all time.
We were actually saying, I think that's like in the top 50 of all time.
Lovely Day?
Easy. Like all songs.
I mean, that's one of your best hit the post songs.
I mean,
Lovely Day is a
I
hit
used to
the
play
post
that
song.
before these guys would go on air every show.
I know. Oh, may he rest in peace. Lean on Me, Ain't No Sunshine. Heart complications. May he rest in peace. Oh, God. Can we just hit the pause button on 2020? Can we hit the restart? Can we hit the restart?
This is one of those when you're a kid and you play a Nintendo, you take the cartridge out, kind of blow it a few times.
And you can put it back in.
Bang it, put it back in.
By the way, the 90-day warranties are expired, so we're we're out of warranty.
You say Nintendo? Didn't we used to do that? We did that with Sega Genesis.
Sega too, yeah. They both. Nintendo, you just feel like it worked every time.
Yeah,
pull it out, blow, give one up, one down, put it back in.
Those little
cartridges.
Those little cartridges.
I remember the Atari cartridges.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
They're a little more square.
Like this, right? Yeah. Right. And I remember
Donkey Kong
going into Toys R Us with my mom and dad.
Toys R Us.
And they had them up. It looked like 18 feet tall because I was like this. I remember looking up and seeing all the prices on them, and they were expensive. They were like, the new ones were like $50, $60, $70. Like we're talking back in the late 70s here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yep.
And
that was the one present you got. Like you were like
that was it. No, that was the one present. The new Atari tape, as we would call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those boxes they would come
How's this
in?
working in the wormhole right now with everybody's like already, are we talking like how old we are right now?
Yeah. One stick, one button. That was the controller back then.
Yeah.
One stick, one red button.
Yep.
I know.
A lot of talk about Eddie Murphy here.
Okay.
Also.
Very good on all that front. Yeah, so I one of those things too that I forgot Tristan Wirfs was calling into the show, so that'll be fun. So
we don't mention him anymore.
Okay, Chris Long, can't get a landline, social distancing, throwing a wrench in my mobility, solid service here at home.
Sounds great.
We're in.
So I think he's going to be cell phoning us.
Let's go.
Social distancing, throwing a wrench in my mobility.
I'm excited to find out Chris's Uber rating.
Oh, shoot. I should text him right now. Let me do that.
Yes.
Take a screen grab
of your Uber rating. Also a good one today, Rich. 1989, the debut of one Kenneth Griffey Jr.
In 19 when?
89. Ken Griffey made his debut today.
89. That was when Dion was playing, right? And it was like
Dion was still going. Yeah. Let me find out how he did that day.
Yep. Okay. How much time till we're back?
About 2. We got 2 minutes.
Okay.
A little time.
All right. I just texted him to take a screen grab of the Uber rating and text it to me. Do we want to, let's close the show out with Jeff Ross today.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Does that sound good to you?
I love it.
Instagram has been on fire.
Well, he's been doing daily jokes. It's
I mean,
great.
his joke, every day they're great.
Ken Griffey 1 for 3 with a double in his debut against the Oakland Athletics.
Is that right?
Yep.
He's a bust. 1 for 3.
1 for 3.
Let's get Jeff Ross doing that, right?
Ken Griffey hit his first home run on April 10th.
Of what, that year?
That year against, like a week later against the White Sox.
Against who? Give me the pitcher.
Let's see.
Who would that be? Who did his first home run against? White Sox, 1989. Could it have been Steve Trout?
Is the big hurt on there?
Was it after the Yankees got rid of him?
Eric King.
Eric King, everybody. Was it in the Kingdom? Hey, now.
Yeah, the Kingdom's definitely around because this.
No, Eric King in the Kingdom.
Yeah, it was at the Kingdom.
There we go.
By the way, today's another anniversary. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, it's Michigan over Seton Hall today, too.
Kingdom.
Oh.
Not a good.
I did not know that.
I think same day, right? 89?
Yeah, I thought it was 80. Yeah, same day.
Oh, I know where I was that tonight.
I know where I was.
Oh, I got a story to tell later on.
The building doesn't exist anymore, thank God.
I got a story to tell later on. You know who was in the building that night was Schefter.
Yeah, same day.
Schefter wrote the game story, I believe.
Where was it at?
It was Kingdom.
Huh?
Kingdom.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It's
Wow.
gone now.
You know
Thank
who else
God
was
that place-
there? Glenn Rice and Sarah Palin were there that night.
No.
It was during the Great Alaska Shootout.
Oh, pardon me, my bad. Glenn Rice was there.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show.
I love this track.
Chris Long is going to be calling in shortly. He's gonna text us his Uber rating, I guess, too.
Can't wait.
All right. Let me make sure that he's ready to call in right now. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial while we're waiting for Chris Long. Let's get to our callers. Kyle in Kansas City, you're first up. What's up, Kyle?
How's it going, Rich?
I am fine. Thanks for calling in. What's going on in your mind?
Oh, man, I'm having a great day. I am so glad you guys are back in studio. It has been so refreshing, to get back to the old Rich Eisen show.
I appreciate that, sir. We are here for you as best we can. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to talk about this new Sammy Watkins deal. I mean, this comes out of nowhere at 5 a.m. Brett Veach is making moves at 5 a.m.? That's crazy.
Chris, tell me what this one is. I actually missed this one. Did they sign him? They got him done?
Oh, they restructured Sammy Watkins.
Oh, there you go. All right, so you're happy about that.
Yeah.
So
it got us $5 million that we didn't have. We no longer live in a world where the Chiefs only have $177 in cap space.
I'm back, Casey. Let's get it.
Yeah,
Hashtag
Schefter
run
made
it
a
back
joke
to her.
that the cap space room was just enough for Andy Reid's barbecue bill.
Hey now, everybody. Wow, Sammy Watkins back. Tyreek Hill's back.
Repeat.
It's thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Kyle. Your team's pretty damn good.
Restructured to about a 1 year, $9 million with a chance to reach 16 in incentives.
All right, so now they can afford to go up to $41 million on Mahomes. Right? One of my favorites, getting to know him and his whole damn family, and I say that with the most utmost of respect, even though I did use the damn word. Two-time Super Bowl champion, 11 seasons in the NFL, and even better yet, great human on the planet, Chris Long. How are you, Chris?
Rich, what's up, man? It's pretty early in the interview to cuss.
I know. Later on, normally it's later on, 2-3 minutes in is when you normally make people cuss, right?
I see you.
So what's going on in your world? Describe your life to me, Chris. What's going on in your world right now?
A lot of family time. I thought I knew my kids very, very well. Getting to know them a lot better. And it's actually not bad being home. I mean, I'm super sad about everything.
Of course.
I'm pretty bummed about, everything I see on the news all the time. But I do think there's a place for sports right now. And I think that, a lot of people making content, sports-related content, and stretching that into pop culture is what I'm seeing a lot of people do. And the lists, the brackets, all that stuff, it helps, man. I think people need that right now. So trying to churn out as many pods as I can. I got my Green Light pod, shameless plug, and we're doing as much as we can.
And how can people go grab that pod, Chris?
I think you just check it, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just search Green Light Pod. I don't listen to my pod a lot because I hate my voice. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But Chris, there is an I in Rich and Eisen. I do love the sound of my voice, which is why I just went lower register on you right there.
You did. You did go lower register.
I did.
You got a good voice.
I don't mind the sound of my voice, but I don't listen back or watch back a lot of what I do. I just that is except for a couple interviews where I just want to make sure that I heard the right thing, because I'm a perfectionist, Chris, just like I'm sure you are. When it all comes down to it.
Yeah, I am for sure. I would be losing my mind if I had to listen myself. So
fantastic. Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. You saw up close the Brady-Belichick relationship for all those years. Is there any credence to the fact that Brady was never going back there, that there was just too long of a 20-year quarterback-coach relationship, and he just needed to turn the page? Any truth
I don't
to
know.
That,
I mean, that would be speculation on my part. I think even if you played there, and I was only there a year, so
right.
Sometimes when I talk about the Pats, I feel even unqualified because there were guys that have been there a long, long time. But Tom was a great teammate, treated all the coaches with respect, including Bill. And, you know, they had a relationship that was interesting, but, you know, I don't think anybody really knows what that relationship is truly like. And seeing them together doing that top 100 thing was almost surreal in such a relaxed place, talking ball. And they certainly seem fine there, and I'm sure they're fine. But I think for Tom, it's a football decision as much as anything. When you looked at the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Bucks, those were the three teams that were being floated the most towards the end. The Patriots weren't competitive financially. The Chargers, I don't think, were competitive relative to the Bucks football-wise, and I don't think any of them were competitive football-wise relative to the Bucks and what he could do in Tampa with the weapons he has around him and that defense that I expect to be very good. So I think it was the right football move for him. The only wrench in there is that this is the most unique offseason of all time.
Right.
You know, if you're changing systems, especially if you've been in one place 20 years, you might be the GOAT, and you might be inheriting O.J. Howard, Evans, Godwin, that defense that we talked about. But it's a change. And I know him and Bruce could FaceTime all day, but you got to execute. You got to have things like mini camp, OTAs. You got to have camp. And I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Interesting. So there's a lot to unpack there. Let me guess, go one by one. Seeing the relationship that you saw with Bill and Brady close up for that 1 year, to the point where you said it was kind of surreal to see them in a relaxed setting on the NFL 100 set. You should have tried just physically being across the table from them on for size to watch that whole thing go down. And it was the first segment of the entire series that we shot too. So just me sitting there seeing Belichick in the role of analyst for the first time, and there's Tom Brady next to him, and the two of them kind of talking about each other without actually having the conversation yet, because it was just a dynamic. Everyone was trying to feel out what it was like in a television setting. It was interesting. But how is that relationship, as you saw it work, different from, say, other quarterback coach relationships? And I know nobody else is Brady, nobody else is a GOAT. But how was it any different from what you witnessed in your career?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you were to compare it to, Drew Brees and Peyton, or, any of the other coach quarterback pairings that have endured long periods, I'm sure they're going to have their bad days. And I think the lack of transparency with the media and the lack of willingness to show like the lighter side up in New England over the years leaves a lot of people assuming. And certainly, one thing I appreciated about watching that offense was, like, if Bill got in the meeting, anybody could get, it on Monday morning. And that included, like, Tom or Jules or, like, the premier players, right down to the 53rd guy on the roster. And I thought that accountability was really refreshing and cool. And I know that, we can put the relationship under a microscope after 2 decades. I would challenge almost anybody to find me another pairing that could last 20 years. So I think we look at this thing and we say, what was wrong with the relationship? And we say it every year. But I would look at it from the other angle and say, listen, it's kind of a miracle that these guys were able to do what they were able to do for 20 years. And now you get to find out, for all the people who have been lusting for the opportunity to see who, what came first, chicken or the egg, who's more important. I don't know that you're going to be able to make an honest determination there. It's just such a unique situation, and people want to hold the Bill thing against them with the Browns record, but they were getting ready to leave town, and that's never good. I've seen what that's like firsthand in football with the Rams, and also coaches can grow, and I'm sure in 20 years somebody that brilliant, and I tell you what, he is absolutely brilliant. He can walk around the field and coach every position better than the position coach. I think that's what separates him. I think he's probably grown. I mean, the guy won 11 games with Matt Castle on the heels of a big disappointing Super Bowl loss. That's hard for teams to do to come back off of a Super Bowl run, let alone one like that, and then to lose your Super Bowl franchise quarterback in Tom Brady. I think Bill's battle tested, and the Pats have always treated things like a different opponent every week. They have to morph into something different. This year is going to be a totally different year for them. It's an opponent in and of itself.
Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then the one other thing that you made mention about a football decision for Brady. You think it might be very difficult, as you know, Patriots fans, having been around them. Maybe difficult thing for Patriots fans to swallow that the Bucs were a better football decision than sticking with New England. But you think that is an accurate assessment, Chris?
I do. I mean, I think anybody being honest here is looking at that roster and saying, hey, listen, I watched the Bucs play a lot last year, which could be maddening with Jameis. Right. But that defense is very good. In the run game, bringing pressure. I think they're going to be a top 5 defense this year. They've done a good job locking up their rushers, which is huge because those rushers are going to have more consistent leads. That defense is going to stand to gain some secure footing by playing more complementary football, less turnovers, less unpredictability. I mean, sudden change is like the dirtiest word on defense, and that's when you're trying to drink water and you got to rush back out on the field and put your helmet on because Jameis threw another pick. And I do like Jameis, and I see why it's tantalizing, but Tom's going to give them more stability, so the defense will improve. O.J. Howard's going to improve. Evans, Godwin, they've got a number of talented individuals on that offense. And I think all they really have to fix down there is the uniforms. And they're going to reveal new ones in the next couple of days. So, Tom's got the Jeter house, and he got Godwin's number 12.
He did.
Which is funny. Yeah, which he didn't even have to buy it, which is just another example of rich people getting stuff for free.
He didn't. He just got the 12. Godwin had like an incredible season for him, a transformative season for him. And the 12, he just coughed it right up, said, I'll take 14. Yeah, you take number 14. That's right.
Can you imagine charging the GOAT for a jersey? I mean, and this is a screwed up thing. If you were an undrafted free agent, you wanted a number, you'd have to pay tens of thousands of dollars or a draft pick.
Right.
But the GOAT, who's got Jeter's mansion, he gets it for free.
Maybe, when Tom and the family go somewhere, maybe down to Costa Rica, leaving Jeter's mansion clear, maybe Godwin gets it for a weekend. Maybe,
listen, Godwin's going to be made right here. Tom is about the most thoughtful and accommodating teammate you could have.
Yeah, he's going to be made right by end zone targets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one way.
I think Godwin's happy to fork that one over.
So how many rooms would you need in the Jeter mansion, Chris?
In the Jeter mansion? I'm not a big, huge mansion guy.
Right.
I just need, a covered porch. If Tom has a nice covered porch, keep me out of the sun, a cooler, like a Yeti, maybe a Traeger grill.
Okay.
Nice.
Sure. Drop
and
those pellets in there.
A hammock would be tremendous, maybe down by the water.
Yeah, St. Jetersburg is, I guess, what it's being called out there. Mm-hmm. Tampa St. Jeet, right there.
That thing is huge.
It is huge. Wow.
30,000 square feet.
Yep. And 30,875 square feet. Don't cheat them. Don't cheat them on
875.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a whole another single-family home in there.
It's true. Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show, and you mentioned about this being one of the most unique, obviously, off-season ever. You have to figure Cam Newton might have a job right now if there was an ability to give him a look-see physically, potentially. You mentioned Jameis. You got a 5,000-yard passer as a free agent and a first overall selection, former MVP of the league. Which one would you, if you were in a position, which one would you take?
If I'm looking at Jameis or Cam?
Yes, sir.
As a fan, I want to see Jameis. I wanted to see Jameis in New England because it's good TV. I want to see Jameis in Las Vegas. I want to see, I want to see Gruden and Jameis. I want to see Bill and Jameis. But, if Cam's healthy, and that's the big question, that's the unfortunate part of this thing, and he stands to lose and has lost the most out of almost anybody, the timing of it, even on the Panthers end, if he'd have had a head start a couple weeks earlier, who knows? It's been a game of musical chairs. And as you get older in the league, you see, in free agency, when you're young and you hit the market for the first time, and as a player in my prime, I never hit the market, the open market when I was putting up good numbers. So like I never had that experience. But later in free agency, you watch those chairs get sat in, and eventually, just like that, there's less and less. And I can only imagine for a quarterback who's been an MVP, who's put up big numbers, who's carried a franchise and been shorted by that franchise, quite honestly, as far as surrounding him with talent, to now his first chance on the wrong side of 30, to start somewhere fresh where they might surround him with the right pieces. And it is a game of musical chairs. I still like him in L.A., but again, what's a physical that's passed in Atlanta to a doctor in L.A.? With the Chargers, you saw this with Michael Brockers, who I talked to the other day, he was about to sign with Baltimore, and they dig a little deeper, and they're like, we don't want you worried about your ankle. Well, he can't get there in person, and I think Cam's got a lot of the same issues. So I think, it's surreal to consider Cam being a backup, but he might do that for a year. I think Pittsburgh could be a really good, landing spot for him. You never know with Big Ben and his health in any given year. And he's up there in years. So you got to figure out if he's healthy and then find the right fit.
Yeah, Los Angeles would seem to be a perfect spot, Chris, for the Chargers, but it's obvious the Chargers went with the YOLO route with Brady, and then when that didn't happen, they were just going to go back to what their plan would have been, which is go into the season with a steady veteran, and I know that's like a faint praise for Tyrod Taylor, but and then go draft somebody 6th overall and Herbert.
No, I don't mind that, Rich. I mean, like, there's going to be somebody there that they might really like at 6. And, people said Chicago for Cam, and the Nick thing had a lot of people befuddled because of what happened last year in Jacksonville. And, you might not think, Nick Foles, Cam Newton, obviously Cam's had, a more consistent career. But then you look at things like Chicago, and Chicago's running Philly's offense. They're running Kansas City's offense. So there's intricacies that go into this thing, and as you looked at each landing spot, you add in the factor that Cam hasn't had a physical plus the scheme differences, and it's been tough for him. I hope to see him come out. On the other end, on the Panthers end, they got Brady, Joe Brady. Bridgewater has a relationship with him. And, Christian was better under center getting the ball. So, Cam's not taking under center snaps. I mean, yards per attempt, all that went up when Cam went out and they were taking snaps under center. So if your best player on offense is Christian McCaffrey, you got to make a decision at some point.
Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. Last football one for you, Chris. You know Nick Foles very well. You know, obviously, Chicago through your bro. And so what's Foles going to bring to that quarterback room? We keep hearing pushing Mitchell Trubisky. We keep hearing that phrase. Translate what that all means and
pushing
how you think.
Pushing is such a funny word in the NFL, isn't it?
Like, can you push out the door?
We're bringing
a
young guy to push you. It's just competition. It's good competition. Coaches have their minds made up usually when they say that. And I think Mitch got, at times, it's unfortunate for him because of the draft class. If you're drafting top 5, it's hard enough. When there's a Patrick Mahomes that gets picked after you, you're always going to have that hung over your head for better or for worse. It really has nothing to do with Mitch. It has everything to do with who picked him. But, Nick is somebody who's going to bring in a tremendous amount of leadership, one of the best leaders I've ever been around, period. And he's going to be a guy who can distribute the football within that system. So I think, you're taking a shot at somebody who's had high highs. You saw Nick in Philly, Chapter 1, record-setting with Chip Kelly. Chapter 2, you saw him as a Super Bowl MVP, obviously. And then you saw the lows, which were Jacksonville and Earth City, St. Louis Rams in the Fisher years, where quarterbacks were not succeeding. And so quarterbacks need context. They need things around them. And I think Nick's one of those guys. He can't succeed just anywhere. There's only a few guys who can do that. But if you surround Nick with the right players and scheme, I think he'll be fine. He can handle the pressure of Chicago. Nick is unflappable. And I think they've done well on the defensive side of the ball, too. Robert Quinn is a great pickup. He's only like a year older than Leonard Floyd. And coming off double digits in Dallas, he was their best edge rusher. And I like Lawrence a lot, but he was. And Rob's going to do well on that end of the ball as well, because you got Mack on the other side. You got a power rusher. You got a speed rusher. I think Chicago's made some nice moves.
Yeah, I mean, they call it an open competition today. Both Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, coach and general manager, say it's going to be an open, transparent competition, and that Trubisky is taking it well as a competitor.
Well, Trubisky's been through everything, and I feel for the guy. So I think he's, this is going to make him better one way or the other. He's seen the worst. I mean, last year was rock bottom, I feel like, in a market like Chicago. And I'm pulling for Mitch, but I think Nick eventually wins that battle because he's just ready for that, and that's the right scheme. And I hope it works out for both guys in a way.
I don't know. I mean, if Nick wins the battle, that's it for Trubisky. I mean, see ya. I mean, already you got Mahomes is a Super Bowl MVP, and Deshaun Watson is an MVP candidate, and neither of those guys needed Nick Foles being brought in to push or compete. I mean,
no, but
right?
There's a scheme aspect. I don't think they ever did right by Mitch. I don't think that they catered the scheme to Mitch's strengths. And I know that, like, hey, listen, he's a top 5 pick. Why are we catering to his strengths? Well, I mean, that's a dumb question to ask because here's the guy you got.
Right.
I do think that, if you looked at some of the things they did or didn't do the last couple of years, he could have benefited from some tweaks within that offense. I'll just say that. And, I don't know if he ever gets a second chance if Nick beats him out. But if he wins this battle, he's going to be better for it. I would lean Nick, though.
Chris, thanks for the call, man. Green Light with Chris Long on Apple Podcasts and where all other podcasts can be gotten. I'd love to continue chats on the regular with you, and if you want me to do a home and home on your pod, I'm more than...
Yeah, home and homes are good. Yeah, they're good. You get the great Rich Eisen on my pod.
No problem.
I like that idea.
Before we go out the door, your Uber rating, I asked you to send it. You did. The reason why is, oh, God, look at that. A sterling 4.90.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Is that good?
Is it good?
Oh, just wait.
No, some people say if you're not a 5,
Nobody's a 5.
Well, what if you're a 4.54, Chris? What if you're 4.54?
Yeah, that's good. That's good at the combine. It's bad with Uber. So.
I don't know what
4.54.
Me. I don't know what I ever did. I did nothing wrong. Nothing.
I think a lot of it is due to where you live. You live in New York, yeah?
No, I'm a New Yorker in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're in LA. Okay,
that's
well,
right.
That's a stressful environment too.
Yeah.
I mean, Uber drivers are probably stressed, and they're probably just they're just stressed and they're rating you down.
So again, it's not me, is what you're saying. It's them. It's not a me thing.
Can't be, dude. It can't be.
Thank you.
I thought I would be lower than that. So I'm actually pretty happy about that.
It's certainly, I make you look a lot better with a 4.54. 4.90.
I got
Of course, you're
manners,
Chris Long.
Yeah, I got great manners.
You haven't ever taken the wheel of the car like Pat McAfee once said he had to do because the guy was driving too slow. You've never done that, though, right?
No, that's a bit aggressive, but that's on par for Pat. I'm more liable to just sit back there and just stay to myself. I less talking, even if, and I hate making people stressed out. So if I'm not about to miss a flight, I'll probably just wait and just rate them down.
Okay, gotcha. Quietly rate down. I'll have to take notes. Chris, you're the man. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Say hi to your folks, and let's keep in touch.
Thanks, Rich. Take it easy.
Right back at you. Chris Long, love that guy. At Joel91 on Twitter and at La Flama Blanca 95 on Instagram. Take a break, unpack some of that. Phone calls 844-204-RICH. Bill Burr in hour number 2 right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Okay, 11:40 Pacific, 2:40 Eastern to wrap up our week. Roastmaster General Jeffrey Ross will call in as well.
Right on.
So Bill Burr, hour 2, Jeffrey Ross, hour 3. Albert Breer and Tristan Wirfs in between. That's
with all due respect to Albert and Tristan Wirfs.
Right?
Love it.
Okay. So that's how we're doing. Our buddy Jerry Steinberg just chimed in. Is he watching us on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Love you, Jerry.
Jerry's the best.
What did he say?
He's just saying, great that you're on and we're leaving some of the stir craziness.
Yeah, for sure.
He asked how Susie and the kids. He loves Susie more than any of us. That includes you. Oh, yeah, let's show that. Jeff Ross trying to break a plank right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How many planks do you have to break to be a black belt? How many do you have to? Is that an actual metric here?
I don't think there's a number, but I think it's when the pressure's on, when the tournaments happen, when the tests happen. Why? I'll break one right now if you need one.
Do we have one anywhere? Can we get a plank for this?
The hot take plank, but don't break
got the hot take plank.
Hot take plank.
I mean, why not?
It's a 2x4 that's right there.
What kind of wood is it?
Now you got me. I have no idea.
Let me see it.
Hold on.
Standard plywood, I'm guessing.
Get ready to cancel my show at Morongo tomorrow. I have a broken hand.
Sweatshirt. We haven't taken it off in years.
This would be amazing.
Can't feel
if
that.
You could break this.
Is that a proper?
I could break this. I haven't done this since I was 12.
Okay. Do you want to give it a try if you think you can do it?
But this is what I learned at the House of Empty Hands in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay. Very good. There you go.
Did it break? Hold on.
Right. Hold it down. Would that be better?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Chris, hold it on the other side.
Hold it on the other side, Chris. All right, it's going. Hold it, pull it out a little bit more. So the end is on the box.
You don't even have any. You don't have any music from Karate Kid?
I really wanted this to work.
If he gets it, Gloria Love. I'll play Gloria Love.
Here we go.
Forget it. Damn it. I really thought I could do it, Rich. I really thought I could do it.
It's okay, Jeff. We still love you.
It's all right.
I should post that. I have that video that I
so
took.
Funny.
I met Jeffrey Ross on the streets of New York through a mutual friend named John Mosley. And it was mid to late September 2001.
Wow. 2001.
City was just getting back from 9/11. And he didn't know much about sports, didn't know I was on ESPN. It was just two guys from the New York, New Jersey area hitting it off. Told him I loved his B. Arthur joke from the Sandra Bernhardt, or it was Jerry Stiller roast is what it was. Or Ben Stiller roast, one of the, whatever it was. I wouldn't, B. Arthur is so ugly, yes. I wouldn't, you know what, her with Sandra Bernhardt's, you know what. It was, they were all on the dais. It was brilliant. He says, do you have a tuxedo? I can get one. Why? Well, in a couple nights, I'm helping put together and produce a roast for Hugh Hefner. Wow. The famed Hugh Hefner Aristocrats night, Gilbert Gottfried
right?
joke. Yeah. Night. And invited me, and I wound up on the dais that night. One of my favorite nights of my entire life. Unbelievable. What a night. So, Jeff's a friend. Excited that he's coming on.
The best.
So, we got him and Bill Burr. How's that for rolling into a fun Friday show? Take everybody's minds off everything. And the phone calls here at 844-204-RICH. We'll be back in a minute right here on the show. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Couple things from Chris Long. Are you okay, Christopher, with hearing that the Buccaneers are a better football decision than sticking with the Patriots, as Chris Long said that Brady came up with?
I mean, it's tough to hear that. I guess when you look at it from a weapons offensively perspective, I could see how the Bucs have better, more talent, to put it that way.
That Brady decides, who do I have a better chance to win a Super Bowl with, New England or Tampa, and decides Tampa?
Well, it's not that black and white.
Well, he basically said it was also a football decision.
Yeah, right.
With what he's saying.
Also, I mean,
right.
I think that's a small percentage of.
And I just heard that, and I'm like, oh man, I bet you that's tough for New England fans to swallow.
The Patriots always give you a better chance to win a Super Bowl than 95%
because of Bill Belichick.
of the team, because of the division they're in. You know they're going to win X amount of games each year. They're going to have that home game in the playoffs, whether it's wild card weekend or a first round bye. And you have Bill, because in all else he's going to figure it out, and they're going to scheme something up that they're going to have the advantage. Like Chris alluded to, in 2008, you win 11 games with Matt Castle.
And I just also like how he pointed out that what people take as a negative is actually really a positive. In the same way, just to use an analogy that, is clearly apples and oranges, because one is involving what's going on outside our world and one is involving what we're talking about here at sports, where you look at the empty streets and you're thinking, man, this world has just gone totally crazy. But you look at the empty streets and the empty streets and the empty roadways, and it's a way of everybody pulling together.
Right. Everyone's doing what they should.
For love and to try and protect everybody, right? 20 years, man. After 20 years, they just couldn't stand each other anymore. They were saying the voices anymore. And he just had to go. But 20 years. They had enough of a relationship for 20 years.
Which is 9 Super Bowls.
Which is forever. And just to put it in perspective, once again, in order to match what Brady and Belichick just did, 6 Super Bowl wins, 20 years. To match it, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have to stay together another 17 years.
Right.
And win 5 more Super Bowls.
Go to 8 more.
Just winning. Forget about going.
I
know you could go to 8 more and win 5.
Yeah.
Go to 8
more.
more.
It's crazy.
And win 5 more in the next 17 years. John Harbaugh has to stay in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson for the next 18 years, go to 9 Super Bowls and win 6 of them to match what Belichick and Brady just did. And the reason why I choose those 2 examples are those your last 2 most valuable players of the NFL. One of whom just went to the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl MVP in his first trip there, just like Tom did back in that 2001 season. To match, not surpass, match. It's kind of, we'll never see it again. We will never see it again. I mean, you can make that.
And because the list of players who have won 5 Super Bowls is short. It's like Tom and Charles Haley.
Well, didn't Lotish go to? He didn't win them. He went to a bunch of them, I think, with the Broncos and the Bills or something like that. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, but the list.
No, I know that. Correct. Of winning 5 rings, right,
quarterbacks. The list is
humans,
one.
Or humans, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's one.
So instead of us saying, you know what, they just couldn't hack it. They couldn't hack it for 21st year. Let's take a look at the positive aspect of it.
Sure.
Instead of seeing something seeing something that appears and sounds negative, let's just basically say that is something that was remarkable for them to do it this long.
Yeah, that's not what's going on in New England, but I feel you.
Belichick will have to stay with Jared Stidham for the next 19 years. I mean, I could go on and on. Bill Burr, hour number 2, and we'll talk about what the Bears had to say about Trubisky next. All right. What do we? Oh gosh.
I mean,
we'll do it.
It's one of the best.
The words that I love to hear in my ear, Del Tufo sign reveal. Okay, so for those who might be somewhat new to us, because we're on YouTube now more than ever, than we've ever been, and we're thrilled that you're here with us every day. This studio opened up in October of 2014.
Indeed.
We went on TV, and then we went on radio a month later, and we've been here ever since. And about a year in, what year is this from, Don? 2015? Is that when this is from, this video? Or about the show? 16. So 2 years in, our benefactor, our rabbi, the man who helped make this all possible, a premium individual and a man who loves premium television, and that's all he bleeds it. Chris Long, who is running DirecTV and then AT&T audience for a while. He's like, let's give him a sign. God bless that guy, what he did for us all those years. So there's a sign outside the window right here behind me. And take a look. Mike Del Tufo, are you out there, Mike?
Yes, I'm here, Rich. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. So what are you revealing? You've got right here.
Right up here above me is a brand new Rich Eisen show sign.
A new Rich Eisen show sign.
Am I going to do it now?
You see this? Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Just hope it doesn't come down on your head.
What are the odds that
I can't do it because the way it's set up.
Put down the microphone, dude.
I can't.
This is the worst reveal ever. Take down
keep
both.
Pulling, Del Tufo. Pull.
Just put the microphone down.
This is good, Rich. This is good.
He's going to bring down the whole thing.
Yes.
Pull both of the cords, you...
Hey.
No, we cannot have this as the reveal.
He does
this
audio.
This cannot be the reveal.
He does audio. He does not do manual labor.
That's the way it's messed up there. I can't. Look, I can't.
Del
We
Tufo,
call
walk
this...
up the stairs. Walk up the stairs, Del Tufo.
Yeah, okay.
The not reveal.
He's going to walk
Oh, no,
up
I
the stairs.
can't because I can't climb to
the
where
not
that is.
reveal.
Yeah, you can. That's something.
No, you can't. It's you got to have a cable. You guys don't know OSHA rules. See, they screwed me. They did this on purpose. I'm convinced.
Yeah, it's against you, Mike.
I'm telling you.
Del Tufo, just tell everyone out there you don't have any change for them.
Just pull it. Give a good Jersey pull. Put them
Yeah, there you go. Watch.
Put the microphone down and pull it.
Oh, the other one.
You're a big man. Yank it. Yank it. Oh,
This is so much better.
all right, come back in here and screw up the audio now, Mike.
They got me, Rich.
Mike,
Marshall
you got
Falk
yourself.
was crying.
Yeah, I was set up to fail.
Man.
They're saying it in the chat. My peeps, they know.
All right, your
The
peeps.
454.
We're back in a second.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Greg Cosell here on the Rich Eisen Show. So it sounds like you're not very high on Tua, Greg.
I would say he's a good prospect. I don't think he's a great prospect. I don't think there's anything about Tua's game when you watch him that you say, wow. I happen to be a Jordan Love fan. I like Jordan Love's game. I like his overall talent level. I like the fact that he's a ball distributor, that he's also a rhythm player.
So do you take Herbert over Tua?
I would potentially take Love over Tua, and I would take Love over Herbert.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now. Live.
The question is, how's it going to go?
This is the Rich Eisen Show. Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
We're kind of like the number one overall pick.
The Cincinnati Bengals select
Rich Eisen, Chris Brockman, Mike Del Tufo.
I'm into it.
I don't know about that.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com. Earlier on the show, two-time Super Bowl champion Chris Long. Still to come, comedian Bill Burr. Plus, Iowa offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 2 of the Rich Eisen Show is on the air. We had a chat with Chris Long, two-time Super Bowl champion, in hour number 1. Coming up in the middle of this hour, Bill Burr will be joining us. And then in hour number 3, Jeffrey Ross, the Roastmaster General, will join us. We just want to lend our hand to a live stream comedy fundraiser that's going down tomorrow. One after another. We all need a laugh. Comedy gives back. Laugh Aid, and join us at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on April 4th. Some of the biggest names in comedy raise money for comedians affected by COVID-19. Oh, our buddy Bob Saget is front and center on this. Of course he is. He's one of the most generous guys I know.
Oh, awesome.
So, all right. Maybe
That's so cool.
Maybe we'll get Bobby Sags on Monday to talk about the whole thing.
Let's do it.
Very good. So Bill Burr will be joining us, and then Jeff Ross, in between Albert Breer and Tristan Wirfs. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, Tristan Wirfs, soon to be of an NFL offensive line, potentially near you, from the University of Iowa. He'll be joining us. And we'll talk with Albert what we talked about with Chris Long, and that is the Bears coming out today and saying, through their coach and through their general manager, that they acquired Nick Foles to create an open competition at quarterback.
Yeah, so the Bears Twitter just tweeted this out about 14 minutes ago.
Yep.
Ryan Pace saying, we've talked to both players. It's an open competition. Matt Nagy adds, we're trying to do what's best for the Chicago Bears, plain and simple.
Mitch will be going first in the huddle, according to Nagy, when we walk out on the first day, whenever it is, whether it's OTAs or whether it's training camp. I'll tell you what, I'd sign for training camp right now. It ain't going to be OTAs.
Yeah.
Quote, I can promise you this, it's going to be extremely fair. Keep it fair. Keep it fair.
Keep it fair.
It's going to be competitive in a good way. It's going to be healthy competitiveness. Healthy competitiveness.
Yeah, I think when you bring in a Super Bowl MVP, it's
healthy competitiveness.
It's going to be competitive.
You know where there's never any healthy competitiveness? At the quarterback position.
When you're trying to find QB1.
Never is healthy, I don't believe. Look, I've been around this sport for a decade and a half plus, 17 years. This is going to be my 18th National Football League season.
Right on.
At the helm of NFL Network. I've seen it all. I've seen a lot. And the one place where nobody wants competition is quarterback. Don't want it. Don't want it, and I'm telling you, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. Everybody wants to go into a season saying, this is the guy. Everybody wants to go into a huddle saying, this is the guy. You don't want two guys. Don't. And it pisses off the rest of the team. Okay? It pisses off the rest of the team because the quarterbacks don't want it. And yet, the rest of the team has competition at their spot every single day. So, coach can say it's healthy, and it might be healthy in the regard that it does let everybody at the defensive positions and every other offensive position that it does have competition every single day, every snap, every moment. Hey, we're still doing it for the quarterbacks too, so there you have it, right? That's the only healthy part about it. Other than that, not so healthy.
You think Bears fans want Foles? I get that feel from Bears fans.
Here's what they want. They don't want the competition. They want choose one, go with them.
Right.
And it needs to be Trubisky. Because Trubisky...
not for fans.
It needs to be Trubisky. Because he's the guy they traded up and got. He's the guy they traded up and got instead of two other guys who have been dynamite, including the reigning Super Bowl MVP and a quarterback who could have been MVP had he continued on the manner in which he did have in the middle of the season in Deshaun Watson. And the general manager who made this decision is still there. So it's best if it's Trubisky because we didn't blow it. Telling from the sports fans' potential. When it all comes down to it, you want wins.
Right.
The problem with Foles is, which Foles are you going to get?
Now that's the question.
You're going to get the St. Louis Rams Foles? You're going to get the pre-Chip Kelly Eagles Foles? You're going to get the Jacksonville Jaguar Foles? Or are you going to get the St. Nick? Now, St. Nick, though, except for the Chip Kelly era, you just uncorked. And you got the perfect vintage, and it wasn't a corked bottle of quarterback. You got the aerated, beautiful bouquet of quarterback vintage St. Nick Cabernet. That's what you got. But in Chicago, you're going to need that from start to finish. You're going to need that the whole time. Certainly, if Foles does what we heard Chris Long predict, he's going to beat him out. And if he beats him out.
Oh, baby.
If he beats him out, there's nothing healthy about it. Because it's over. Now, I very rarely make these sorts of black and white statements. Because you never know. He could beat him out. Week 5, Bears are 4-1. Foles is rolling. And he's 3-2. Foles is kind of rolling. Gets hurt, which has happened. Trubisky comes off the bench. House money. House money. Okay, Mitch, time for you to do it. House money. Because Nick's going to come back at some point, and he takes the job over. I'm giving you the rosiest possibility if he doesn't get the gig. If he doesn't get the gig, he will have to get it back due to injury, because if Foles doesn't perform well and then they go to Mitch, now you're just switching quarterbacks. Nothing healthy about that. Then you're potentially creating factions. I want Nick. I want Mitch. Within your own house. Nothing healthy. The competition at quarterback is very rarely healthy. When you have two quarterbacks, you sometimes don't even have one. You've got 0. I will never forget sitting on the draft set the day after Washington drafts RG3 second overall after trading a whole host of Snyder bounty and putting it in the lap of Les Snead in his first year as the GM there in St. Louis, I believe it was. After all that fanfare, RG3 drafted second overall, and he strolls down the street and does that live 30 Rock show, right? At NBC.
Kim Kardashian was there.
Kim Kardashian was there. That created a whole hoo-ha.
Sure did.
One of the most viral moments our Rich Eisen podcast ever created. Google that. I'll never forget day after all of that. Washington Redskins select Kirk Cousins out of Michigan State. Now you got two quarterbacks. I look down the set. I look at Mayock. I'm like, what's this all about? And he was his typical Mayock. Whoa, Rich. This is just, you got to back up. You got to build your quarterback room. You got to do all that stuff. And I was basically saying, Mike, I know this is the evaluator, cool-headed evaluator in a vacuum, in a bubble conversation. I'm talking about what fans are going to be thinking and saying. If I said this on the air and Mayock went, this is a typical one of those moments where I go to my Twitter feed during the commercial break because it was not the first night of the draft, so I got to look at my Twitter feed, so I didn't have anything spoiled. Spoiler alert. It was one of those things where you go to my Twitter feed, happen maybe once a draft every year. Boy, Rich and Mayock hate each other. No, we don't hate each other. We're two guys who can go back and forth and have a conversation. And in the commercial break, I grab one of Mayock's Mike and Ike's. We have a good time. By the way, that guy had a sweet tooth for Mike and Ike's. Probably still does. I'm sure there's a whole host of it in the Raiders draft room.
That's funny.
But I said to him, if Cousins sees the field, that means something catastrophic has gone wrong with RG3, injury-wise or performance-wise. Why draft him? Why draft him? You got a one rookie. Why put another rookie in the quarterback room? You need to have a rookie and a vet. You can't have all these rookies. And I know Mike Shanahan at the time, he's Mr. Quarterback. Who knew at the time Mike really wasn't sold on RG3? Nothing healthy when you got two. Oh, man. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I got a sense of it, and does not bode well for Mitchell Trubisky unless what Matt Nagy said today, that he's a competitor and he's going to handle it, and he's going to take the reins, and he's going to tell St. Nick, you are staying inside the cellar, sir. Keep on aging like the fine wine you are. I'm going to be the Carson Wentz here, and I'm not going to get hurt, and you're not going to get your opportunity. But we're going to be good friends because you're class act A+. And we will have a great relationship. That's the one thing about this, about Foles, that will be healthy. Their relationship will be healthy. The competition, though, I don't think it will be. But we shall see, won't we? 844-204-RICH, number to dial. How are we on our poll question right now, Christopher?
Yeah, let me take a look. I was trying to see who the other quarterback was for the Redskins that year.
That year, and I'll look it up. Go for it.
Yeah, so it's Eddie Murphy's 59th birthday, which is pretty great. So we kind of ask this every year, but what's the best Eddie Murphy movie? 4 options: 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, Trading Places. Want to put your thumb on the scale here?
Oh, of course. I bet you Coming to America is winning, but the answer, without a doubt, is Trading Places.
Trading Places is running third right now, 20%. 48 Hours at the bottom, 7%. It's a 2-horse race right now. Coming to America, second right now, 34%. Beverly Hills Cop, 39%.
Okay. Quarterback room in Washington, D.C. Again, I don't know if he did. I don't know. I don't have the stat. I just have the stats. I don't have the roster right here.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, the roster.
It does appear that was it. Cousins, RG3, and the only person who threw a pass that year was Josh Morgan, the wide receiver who probably had some sort of wide receiver option. That's it.
Wow.
I knew something was up, and Mayock just beat me down on the air. Beat me down. Like, you don't know. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's just, you're just trying to, Ron Wolf always used to amass quarterbacks. That's what you do. You like a quarterback, you get a quarterback because you could trade a quarterback.
Yeah, you're right.
For what purpose? You just traded all the way up for RG3. When you bring in another quarterback for the supposed second overall drafted quarterback, that means you don't believe in said quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. It was just those two guys.
And Trubisky, second overall, you traded up to get him and didn't get 2 other guys who have been stellar. and you bring somebody else in to push, compete. It's healthy, everybody. Yeah, it's healthy like those chips that are supposedly not fried. They're baked.
Those are better.
Healthy.
Those are better for you.
Healthy. Totally healthy. It's baked. It's not fried. It's just baked. It's the same thing.
That's funny. RG3 was awesome in 2012, man.
I know.
Was awesome.
I'm not saying he didn't work out, but you get another guy, that means something's up.
4,000 total yards.
Open competition. It's healthy. All right, we'll take a break. Bill Burr. they're not fried. It's baked. It's healthy.
That's good. Good.
Bill Burr, when we come back, we'll chat with Bill Burr in a second. All right, everybody.
That's funny.
Right? Oh, no, these are fine for me. Do you know how many times, like, Xander will just grab something out? No, Mom, Dad, it's good for me. Like, no, it's not good for you. That's for us to have whenever we want. How the hell did you find those chips?
Someone in the chat says Trubisky's just like Jay Cutler.
Come on.
Cutler's better.
Trubisky 2 years ago was terrific, man. 2 years ago it was like, okay, Mitch has got the right guy hooked up to him. Nagy and Trubisky. Going to be like Peterson and Wentz. Going to be like McVay and Goff. Let's roll. And last year just went to crap. The running game was non-existent. Jordan Howard, they missed, right? They needed that battering ram.
Yeah, they needed
the kid David Montgomery that everybody drafted so high in the draft because everybody thought he was going to be the Josh Jacobs, right? You know, they thought he was going to be the Josh Jacobs of it all.
Yeah, he was really good in 2018.
Say that again?
He was good. 11-3 in 2018, 24-12. A lot of interceptions, but that's all right.
I got to go new batteries here.
New bats.
How come these batteries are just running out all of a sudden?
Yeah, they're not.
I turn it off at night when I go.
I know. The batteries only last 1 to 2 days.
They got a short
lifespan.
You in?
Shouldn't you be doing the batteries?
I don't want to touch your stuff, Rich.
Touch my stuff.
You know, it's like.
All right.
I'm the monitor guy, the lighting guy. I'm kind of doing stuff that I can't touch.
I know, we're wearing so many hats.
Now it's back.
Yeah, we don't want to.
All right, you guys, play some music. I'm going to go wash my hands. I'm not kidding. Be back. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Joining us later on, the Roastmaster General, Jeffrey Ross, is going to be calling in. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, Tristan Wirfs, the Iowa Hawkeye lineman who jumped out and ran out and just dominated the combine, is going to be a terrific addition to somebody's offensive line in the NFL. He will be joining us. That's in hour number 3 as well. So that's going to be a jam-packed third hour. For the moment, let's pause and talk about for a minute. What we will be discussing with our buddy Jeff Ross is a live comedy showcase, live stream with comedians in their quarantine states and bringing laughter to everybody, as it's being described, to raise as much money to help comedians who are and others who are battling COVID-19. ComedyGivesBack.com is how you can learn more and how you can stream it live on Twitch, Twitter, the Laugh Lounge app, and Comedy Central's YouTube channel starting at 7 Eastern tomorrow at 4 Pacific on the 4th of April. And one of the comedians, one of our friends here from the Rich Eisen Show joining us, Bill Burr. How are you, Bill?
Rich, how you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there. Everybody in your family, everybody good, healthy, best we can tell?
Everybody is symptom-free. We have been, I don't think I've been to the end of my driveway in 3 days.
Is that right? It's been
I'm just doing what they're saying. I went out to get the trash cans and bring them back in, but I'm just doing what they're telling me to do for once. I'm going to be the contrarian comedian. I get this is a serious thing.
Yes.
I downplayed the whole thing. They're overreacting, but I did that for a little bit, and then I was just like, all right, they shut down the city. I'm gonna, this looks like a Snake Plissken movie here. So I'm just gonna stay until they tell me it's okay. I mean, I go out for drives every 2-3 days. The wife and kid, we go a little stir crazy, so we'll go out for like a drive, windows up, and that type of thing.
Right.
And,
no, I know that
provisions. That's about it.
Yeah, I know, and it's obviously something very serious. But you're in a position, just like in a way that we are, where a lot of people are looking for a break. They're looking for a break. They're looking for some sort of escape, while understanding that the world is, crumbling in many ways. That they want to feel normal. They want to have a laugh, and that's where this comes in. How's this going to work tomorrow? You got like a time, like it's just basically like a live stream comedy club where you got a set time for you to go up and do your set somewhere. I mean, how's that going to work tomorrow?
No, it's more like what we did was I do a podcast with Bert Kreischer, star of Hey Big Boy, on Netflix, streaming now. Look at that little team effort.
I love
there.
it. That guy's great.
He's the best. So I do a podcast with him called the Bill Burr Podcast, and Tom Papa is going to be the host, and he's going to just throw it to us, and we're going to do just 12 minutes. We're both such a couple of dopes that just us talking, evidently, everybody just laughs at us, and it, I don't know, makes people laugh and stuff. But Bill, it's a little more deeper than that. But I've been doing this thing with Bert for like the last year, and I'm just having such a great time doing a podcast with him. So hopefully people will tune in. But Conan's doing something, Jimmy Fallon, Adam Sandler. We won't be singing Imagine, so don't worry. And
I didn't see you in Gal's Instagram, Bill. I didn't see you in that one.
I just feel like, I don't know who talked them into that. Like, how is this going to work? It's just one of those things. I feel bad because, their heart was in the right place.
Right.
And you go out there and you got to sing a cappella in like your yard. And you don't know what key anybody else is really singing in. You sort of know the key, right? And the whole thing is God bless it.
Well,
you hate to see it, Rich. You hate to see it.
What song would you have chosen, Bill? You got a good song that you would have for the?
I probably What's Next to the Moon, AC/DC. I would go like deep cut. I'd go a deep cut. So they wouldn't notice that I was singing bad. They'd be like, oh, I know this song. What is this? They'd be so focused on that, maybe I'd get away with it. But if you sing a huge hit like Imagine, they're like, this is John Lennon, Imagine.
Right.
What the hell are you doing this for? I like when they go, Imagine There's No Heaven, and everybody got offended by that. Why would you say that during this time? It's like, the song's been out for like 50 years. They've been saying it forever, all right? Just now you get offended in 2020? Sorry.
Bill Burr here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, man. Brady's a Buccaneer. How are you handling that one?
Dude, it took me 2 weeks, and then this wave of sadness hit me that I finally realized, because I was dealing with, are they ever going to have pork chops again? And there was a whole stupid run of at the grocery stores, like chickens had coronavirus when they didn't. It took me 2 weeks for it to finally hit me, and then this real sadness, the sadness of when a great player retires or moves on to another team. I'll even say as a Red Sox fan, it took me 2 seasons of watching the Yankees to stop looking for Derek Jeter at shortstop and just feeling the void of that level of greatness. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Bill Belichick to write the third great chapter, I think, of his greatest head coaching career of all time. If he goes out and gets somebody. And, I will say this. If I can set aside my emotions, the NFC South with Drew Brees and Matty Ice there,
Yep.
and that's going to be fun. And if Cam Newton just left, though, right?
Well, he's definitely not coming back, I don't think. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater fresh off of New Orleans. And, Teddy's got some ability with the new coaching staff and all that business. It is going to be pretty dynamite. But it's just going to be odd, Bill, seeing Brady and Pewter, And that's going to be the first time you see him in that Buccaneer jersey,
Well, here's a game that me and my friends play is like you play like the greatest player in that uniform they retired in, like which broke your heart the most.
Right.
I would say for the older generation it was probably Johnny Unitas in a Chargers uniform or Joe Namath in the Rams. Do you remember Tony Dorsett in a in a Broncos jersey?
That.
He played 1 season for them. Yeah. Emmitt Smith went to
Arizona,
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix. Maybe that's right. Phoenix.
Oh, my buddy's got a great one. Patrick Ewing with the Seattle Sonics. That was a tough one.
They should be just a trading card pack.
Brett Favre in Jets and Vikings was hard, and I'm going to say Brady. But the thing is, too, is they also passed their prime, and Tom Brady got a lot of crap last year, but it was really the receiving core that we had. Gronk just demanded double coverage and that would get Edelman open. So all you had to do now was once he was gone, I think that we were gambling that he wasn't going to retire and would change his mind when he didn't. We got caught a little flat-footed, and then every team just doubled Edelman, and the other guys needed to step up. There'd be a blitz, and they wouldn't cut off their routes. The amount of times I saw Brady thrown to a guy's back who hadn't even turned around. So I think he still has 2 seasons in him, and I'm going to root like hell for that guy because that's the only thing I can do. Other than cry on Sundays, but I'm gonna just root like I hope he gets number 7 and 8, and then I hope also Belichick, obviously finds his next quarterback. But I don't know. You knew this day was coming because Brady was 42, Belichick's close to 70, Bob Kraft is I'm feeling like we're the Steelers around 1980 or 81, and all of a sudden everybody got old.
Yeah. I like that.
Which, by the way, I'm reading a killer book right now called their Life's Work, The Brotherhood of the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, Then and Now. That's what makes it great. And then also a lot of the great games they're talking about you can watch on YouTube. Like last night I watched the Raiders versus the Steelers, 1974 AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And this is before the Steelers won their first ring. And the week before, the Raiders had beaten the Dolphins, who had just gone back-to-back. And John Madden, very rare mistake, evidently said the 2 best teams played last week. And I guess Chuck Noll was never a guy big on emotions. He was just an X and O's guy. It pissed him off so much he was in the meeting, and all the players were sitting in those student desks where the desk part is attached to the chair. They were all sitting in those. And he goes, John Madden said the best 2 teams played last week. Well, I think he's wrong because the best team, in my opinion, is sitting right in this room. And Joe Green was so excited, he stood up and fist pumped and took the whole desk with him. And the second I read that, I was like, I got to see if this game is online. And I put it on, and it's incredible. It's the Raiders. They're 2 years away from that 76 team that actually beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if you talk to anybody in Pittsburgh that knows their football, like Joe Bartnick was telling me, that was the best Steeler team. It's just Rocky Bleier and Franco Harris both got hurt late in the season, and it was just like out of dumb luck. But they actually, if those guys were both healthy, according to Pittsburgh fans, they would have three-peated, which has never been done. They would have three-peated easily.
You said how much? What
Pittsburgh in that game, Bill, scored 21 in the fourth quarter to win. Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier combined for over 200 yards rushing in that game.
Yeah, and they had been shutting down. That Raiders defense had really been shutting down the run, so it was a big surprise that they ran all those. Yeah, they shut down Zonka and Jim Kick probably. That's probably who was playing for Miami the week before.
Love it.
I love that stuff, man. I have a whole football card collection, just all the 70s. From 1970 right through 79. I got all the and you know what else is great? Is Kurt Gowdy and Dandy Don Meredith do the play-by-play and the color. And when you just look at how much the game has changed, like, first of all, the game's it's like in the afternoon. It's like 1 in the afternoon, right?
Right.
And it just starts when it comes to broadcast like they're lining up for the kickoff. And they just kick it off, no pomp, no circumstance. And when they cut to the crowd, that's the best. You can't find one jersey. Nobody's wearing a jersey. Everybody's wearing street clothes. Half the people look like they could be in that Ron Burgundy Anchorman movie. Just the way people dress, smoking in the crowd. And it's really like, it was so just sports fans. And Kurt Gowdy brings something up that I started to watch. I went down this rabbit hole. It's called NFL 74, the Championship Chase.
What is that, Bill Burr? What is that?
That's the highlight of the whole 1974 season. And there was a there's a great Patriot that was forgot in history. Undersized kid named Mac Herron. He's known as Mini Mac. He was 5'5.5".
Yeah.
He had to go to the CFL. The Patriots signed him. He set a record for all-purpose yardage that stood for 30 years on kickoff, punt, receiving, and running yardage. He disappeared in the – John Hanna used to laugh that he would disappear into the pile, and they couldn't find him, and he would shoot out. And but the problem was he partied a little too much. It messed up his career, and this is why he left the Patriots. He ended up having a big party at his house, and half the Patriots were there. So Chuck Fairbanks shipped him out because a lot of people don't remember. That year, the Patriots –
This is amazing.
I think it was 74. That year, the Patriots, in a 3-week period, beat the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Miami Dolphins. Then they beat the Raiders, and then they beat the Steelers. 3 weeks in a row. But then we lost to Burt Jones and the Colts.
Burt Jones.
So the Patriots and the Colts were sort of this up-and-coming thing, but everybody knew it was Dolphins, Raiders, or Steelers. And but anyways, Mac Herron – people should, and I'm surprised I couldn't remember that, but Mac Herron should have been brought up when Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics had that 2-year run where he was this undersized guy that the whole city fell in love with. That was sort of the second coming of Mac Herron.
Mac Herron, I guess, was, you could say, as Danny Woodhead before Danny Woodhead was even born, I guess, back in the day. This is a great conversation here with Bill Burr. We were talking before, too, Bill, Chris Brockman and I, about, some of the old classic games that we're beginning to see a little bit more on cable and broadcast television, about how you're watching those games. There's no yellow line to let you know where the first down is. There's no blue line to let you know where the line of scrimmage is. There's no score box. You don't know how much time's left on the clock, and we're so totally coddled as viewers of TV now. And
also just like how much the NFL was just catering to football fans back there, and now they do it's like they're just commercial fishing, just throwing out let's have Shakira and J-Lo. Some of the Super Bowls, from the 70s up on YouTube, and you watch them, and the halftime show is like a local college band.
Yeah.
Just going
up
out
with
and
people.
playing. Yeah, that's it.
Up with people.
They're just... And also, the game was played at Tulane University so many times, and the game was just on in the afternoon.
Yep, not anymore.
It wasn't the Super Bowl Sunday and all of that stuff. None of that existed. And the NHL, what I can't believe is how much slower the game was and how much smaller the players were, to the point they almost need to make the rinks bigger. If you look at all the open ice in the 80s, the heyday, was the perfect combination. The 80s was the perfect combination of the enforcers and finesse players. You had some of the greatest, like the Wayne Gretzky of enforcers, Bob Probert, and you literally had Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux and all Eiserman and all of these guys and putting up like 60, 70, 80, 90 goals was incredible.
Yeah,
but then what killed it was Patrick Waugh came in and showed him the butterfly, and then that was it. That was it. And then they got big, and the pads got big. Dude, Paul Coffey scored like 50 goals as a defenseman one year. I mean, it's just unheard of.
It's the greatest. Bill Burr in quarantine is one of the greatest sports historians I've ever met. I mean, let's be very honest. This is one of Bill Burr sheltered in place has been is one of the greatest sports history conversations I think I've ever had.
I can only talk 70s and 80s because in '92 I started stand up and I missed like this chunk. It's
okay.
Almost like with music. No matter how much I try and listen to new music, I'm always going to end up going back to AC/DC and Aerosmith and stuff from my childhood. Like, I don't know, there's a different feeling when you listen to that. And I feel the same thing. Like, I think when I was a kid, like, I still had the hope that I was going to make it to professional sports. And then by the 90s, I knew the dream was over. And I was watching kids at that point who I was older than.
Yeah.
Who made it happen, and I didn't. So
let me ask you.
Some of the luster was gone.
Bill, before I let you go, you mentioned Jeter before, and when you were referencing Brady about how it took you so long to stop looking for Jeter when Yankee games were on after Jeter left. You know, Jeter is technically Tom Brady's landlord now. Did you see that mansion that Brady apparently moved into Jeter's mansion in Tampa, St. Pete? Did you see that story? Did you miss that?
No, I did not. But I was joking on my podcast that Tom Brady did what every old white guy does in Massachusetts after a while. You get sick of the winters, so you move to Florida, and then you also don't have to pay state tax. And also, there's some rule in there where every state has some sort of real estate rule that if you get sued, like the first so many dollars of your house you can't touch. Some states it's $500,000, some states it's $1 million. Florida is unlimited, so nobody can touch your real estate. So everyone from Tom Brady to O.J. Simpson takes advantage of that.
Well, Brady's moving into Derek Jeter's 30,875 square foot spot, if you will, in South Tampa. So Jeter, I think, is Brady's landlord. I wonder how that relationship's going to be.
I thought you were going to say that was Jeter's guest house, 30,000 square feet.
It could be his on-deck circle.
The thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He's married to a supermodel, Tom Brady is, and I think she might like the weather in Florida, but, she's not going to be able to handle Tampa is – okay, Miami is where, all the sexy people go to visit and buy a house or whatever, but, Tampa is that's real Florida. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I guess you're not allowed to because they listen.
What do you?
Well, that's trucks with the silver balls hanging on. Like my truck has balls. People shooting each other because they were arguing about how long that alligator was last night. That was 18-footer. Next thing you know, they shoot each other. That mess. I mean, that's real. That red-headed guy with the busted teeth that started Scientology. That's right in there. That's Florida.
And that's where Brady's going to play, man. That's where he's going. Oh, Bill, I needed that laugh.
Down there.
Man, I needed that laugh. You're the man.
Don't worry about it.
What time are you on tomorrow? Do you know exactly what time you and Bert are on tomorrow?
I don't know how it works.
All right.
I don't know how it works.
Just check it out. It starts at 7 Eastern and eventually get up there.
And starts and then 4 o'clock Pacific. That's all I know. So it's 4 at 4 p.m. out here, West Coast time. We're going to try to make you laugh. And, dude, I got just as much out of making you laugh. Believe me, dude. I'm Jones. This is the longest I've ever gone without doing stand-up or anything. I'm just going in the garage and playing drums like an hour a day. I feel like I still live at home with my parents 30 years ago. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for the cellar lights to flick on and off to let me know that it's time for dinner.
And you're trying your material out on your kid? Is it you're just using your good stuff in the house? What are you doing? Just workshopping it, walking around?
You know what? I'm not chasing it. I found out a long time ago the way to get in the zone with whatever that you do is you can't care and you can't think about it. You just have to go up there and just do it or just kind of let it happen. So if I lose some jokes and I forget them, so be it. I don't care. I mean, who's kidding who? Who gives a F about my act? The big thing is everybody's got to get healthy so we can all get back out there again.
Bingo.
And
Bingo.
Enjoy some damn sports.
That's right. I
I'm
appreciate
watching American Ninja Warrior, for God's sake. I mean, what are we doing here?
It's like
Dude, by the way, that show does more backstories than the friggin' Olympics.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
I know. I feel.
And you're not going to get me to.
I feel. By the way, I watch it with
you're not going to get me to cry. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's on all the time. No, American Ninja Warrior is the Law and Order of sports television. It's on all the time. It's okay. And the backstories, these people, you learn about them, and within 2 seconds, they're wet in the pool and they're done. And they're like, why'd you introduce me to somebody that lasts 5 seconds? I don't understand it, but that's the whole thing. It's my kids can't get enough of it. We can't get enough of it. It's amazing.
Well, what is great though, is the thing that propels that show.
Yeah.
Is not the people as much as they try to make it. It's the obstacle course. That's them moving the story along. So each year, that obstacle course has to get harder and harder. And I hadn't watched it in like a year. And this stuff that they have these people doing, I mean, if you get through that whole course, you would get like a fist bump from Spider-Man. Because it is like, you're grabbing onto a log, rolling down a hill. They got then they had the Spider-Man jump.
Yeah.
And then they got just the degree of difficulty, the stuff that you have to hang on to. I mean, it's like some of the stuff that was the end of the obstacle course is now in the middle. Like, I remember this was the hard thing nobody could get past. This is just like, hey, and we're in the second quarter, and he's upside down. What about, you ever seen when they go down that hill and they're hanging on to basically, it's like a box that has like chin-up bars on it?
It's crazy.
And as it rolls, they got to move their – it's insane.
Bill, you're the man.
Indiana Jones level stuff. All right, sorry, man. I went too long.
It's all good. Thanks for the call, Bill. Let's stay in touch. Let's get you out more. Let's all stay inside and watch Bill and the rest of his comedy friends tomorrow to pass the time and raise some money. And I appreciate the call, Bill. You take care of yourself.
All right, go Blue.
Right back at you, man. That's it. ComedyGivesBack.com to learn more, and we'll talk more about it with Jeffrey Ross in hour 3. It's just amazing.
Wow.
844-204-RICH. Your phone calls when we come back.
I mean, man, I can't wait to watch that tomorrow. By the way,
how much American Ninja Warrior do you watch?
No, you know what we've been doing at my house? We've been watching so much HGTV and Do-It-Yourself Network and that stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like I could build a house right now.
Right?
I've watched so much.
Well, again, we're getting through the first blushes of remote school learning. That's just beginning now, and then trying to fill out the day, the 3 kids and whatever. So Susie and I have not been able to binge watch anything, and we're trying to limit the screen time for the kids as much as possible.
Yeah.
But when it is time to watch stuff, invariably, American Ninja Warrior of some form, Junior American Ninja Warrior, will be on. And it's on name an NBC, Universal, Comcast, cable network. Right. It's on, just like name an NBC, Universal, Comcast network, Law and Order.
Law and Order's on.
That's why it is the Law and Order
Some
of
variation
sports
of
television. There is on all the time. And my kids cannot get enough of it. Cannot get enough of it.
I want Coop to go on that.
He wants to, I think he watches it.
Yeah.
I think he would want to do that.
I think he would too.
And Matt Eisen and Akbar Baja Biamila, who we've had here on the show, they're fun to watch.
They're great. Oh, they're awesome.
Stars in my household. Yeah. Matt and Akbar.
Well, your house is not alone, I'm sure. I've been into all the games though that's been replayed. CBS Sports reshowed the 2001 Final Four, Duke versus Maryland.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that.
That Duke team was so stacked.
Who was on it?
It was Battier and Jay Williams were first-team All-American.
Right.
Battier was Player of the Year, but Mike Dunleavy, Chris Duhon, Carlos Boozer all played in the NBA. Maryland, of course, they win it in 2002, but that's, Gary Williams and Chris Wilcox and Juan Dixon and Steve Blake and Lonnie Baxter, great teams.
Man, I hated those guys at Duke. And Jay Williams knows that, too. I mean,
how do you really feel?
I'm just telling you. The Duke. And the first time I ever saw Mike Krzyzewski, ever, who I was ingrained to just not like.
Yeah, of course.
Being a Michigan guy and all that, first time I ever saw him was at a Jimmy V golf tournament fundraiser in Raleigh, in North Carolina. And I walked up and I watched him drop his bag off at the bag drop. Tipped the guy. Couldn't have been nicer. Shook hands with people, did all that. Got in his car and went and parked it. But the point of this story is I watched him make a K-turn in his car.
Coach K doing a K-turn?
To get to the parking lot. And I just stood there and I'm like, okay. I'm just glad he wasn't Coach Q because that would have been a very difficult maneuver for him.
Yeah, it was that in the afternoon, and then Texas USC at night. It was a good
Texas USC at
good
night,
old sports
man,
night
and hearing
yesterday.
Keith Jackson call a game.
Oh my gosh,
the young man
was Fouts on the call with him?
Yes,
him and Fouts.
Keith
That was
Jackson
a
and
great
Ben
game
Fouts.
to be. I was on the field for that. That was amazing.
You were on the field for that game?
What for? Why would you on the field? It was an ABC
Got
event.
a pass. Just
Dude,
got it.
This guy.
No, I did not know.
What did you ask off air? What did you ask off air?
I know that Don, who went to USC in the back,
definitely did.
was at that game, left early.
I'm in the end zone when Young runs in. Like, I'm right there. It was like, it was.
Don said he had to go do a shoot with Howie Long.
Yeah.
Don, it's okay, man.
That was an insane
He left, they were
game.
leading. That means you could have left with 2 minutes, 5 seconds to go.
It was so fun watching USC lose, to sit and watch those fans.
Come on, Mike.
Sorry.
Why do you take misery in a team's losing?
I do. I'm a Notre Dame guy.
How about watching
I'm a Notre Dame guy.
Vince Young
I'm a Notre
have one of the
Dame guy.
greatest games of all time?
Pete Carroll took a beating on Twitter last night because of the
Wow.
game. I mean, look,
That
Reggie
play.
Bush not on the field.
Yeah.
Lendale White gets the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
How is Reggie not even on the field to... That's the point.
Lendale White was
How is he not
was
on
a
the field?
monster in
Again.
that game, in
Yeah.
that seat. I mean, I get it that Reggie, that was his Heisman year, but we're not shortchanging Lendale White. He was a beast.
Lendale White was a beast, but to run the ball when you have all these options and the most dynamic running back maybe in the history of college football.
Agreed. He also had that insane lateral play earlier in that game.
He was unbelievable and unstoppable, Reggie Bush. With a
That
619
team was like a
his area
People
code.
on Twitter, though, got to think Pete's going to learn from this mistake.
I know. Kill him.
God
so
almighty.
so funny.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. What a great chat with Bill Burr right there, man.
So funny.
Oh, boy. Jeff Ross in hour 3 to talk about the same event. Albert Breer and Tristan Wirfs in the same hour as well, talking tons of football. So let me just hit the phone lines right here. Jeff in Detroit. How you been, Jeffrey?
What's going on, hopefully everything is good with you.
Thanks.
Listen,
Same.
that Bill Burr interview was on point. I needed that. Laughter, history, and guess what I'm doing later on, hitting the YouTube and checking that game. My question to you is this, well, first of all, on your poll question, funniest movie to me that Eddie Murphy has ever made, Harlem Nights.
Oh.
Harlem Nights.
You went off the
Harlem
board.
Nights is that.
You went off the board, but
Yep.
okay. Very good.
Okay,
Yep. Honorable mention. My question to you is this.
Yes.
As it stands right now, the Detroit Lions have more former Patriots on the team than they have Lions than when Matt Patricia started. It seems like there's talk about us getting the receiver from there. Is it Edelman? I think, yeah.
Oh, that would be wild. I mean, if they just rip it down to the studs like that.
There's a lot of speculation going on. My question to you is this. Is he trying to go into the mode of Bill Belichick too much? Because, I mean, you do what you did to Darius Slay to get him out of town. Then you're pulling this. It's more Patriots than it was Lions. And your record doesn't reflect that. For you to just call, I understand how you come in and make it your team, but I'm hoping that this works because at number 3, the Lions have possibly the position to either go north or south.
Well, let's do this, Jeff. Let's put at least, and I know that it has been very disappointing over the last 2 years. Let's put a pin in it until after the draft. Let's see how the Lions. Let's see how the Lions gain the top of this draft, because they have as you've heard over the last couple of days. And thanks for the call. They have a real good opportunity to maybe use the Dolphins and Chargers' desire to get a quarterback to their advantage, 2x. Get that trade with the Dolphins and then sit there at 5 and get a nice little wet of the beak from the Chargers. That'd be the way to go. Get them both. And then have your choice of Simmons or Okudah at 6 overall. That's the cake and eating it. That's having your cake, eating it twice as well.
I think I saw one scenario where it was trading Edelman to get picks back to trade up to take Tua.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
there are a lot of pieces there.
You know who the Lions don't need? Julian Edelman.
They do not.
Okay,
no, they don't.
The Patriots need Julian Edelman of who
Yes,
he is and what he stands for, and to
much
just
so.
tell everybody, okay, Brady's a buck, but we still have Edelman.
Right.
And in terms of Brady being a buck, what Bill Burr said about, just add Brady to the long litany of all-time greats in a different uniform, giving it a jarring look. I know that the Bucs are going to have a different uniform, right? We're waiting to see what those look like. It'll still be strange. Any uniform, not the Patriots, will just look strange on Brady.
Very strange.
But here's a scenario where it's going to be the strangest. I'm wondering if they'll do this. Just even mess with you and the New England fans.
Oh, gosh. What?
Bucs go throwbacks and put them in the creamsicle popsicles.
For the whole season?
No, just one night.
I'm sure they will, right?
Just one night in the uniform most associated with some of the worst losing football in the history of the National Football League, putting Brady in those clothes just to clean the house, poltergeist style. Have Brady change the way you look at those uniforms. Yuck. Albert Breer, Tristan Wirfs, Jeffrey Ross. What a monster hour 3 coming up. So we mentioned American Ninja Warrior, or Bill Burr did, and again, love the show, love the two guys who host it in particular, and we had Matt Eisman and Akbar Biamila here, and it was just a few weeks after Akbar botched that first pitch in Philadelphia horribly
so bad
that we gave it the 30 for 30 treatment and surprised him with it, and it left everybody crying laughing. Akbar, your first pitch in Philadelphia is such the stuff of legend.
Yes.
That it's received a documentary treatment from the ultimate in sports documentaries.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, it has it.
Check it out.
Wow.
What if I told you throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game isn't as easy as it looks? That many have spent the rest of their lives regretting their trip to the mound. What if I told you a former professional football player who used his speed, strength, and agility was about to have his hard-earned athletic reputation shattered in only a few seconds by a tiny little baseball?
I was so fired up when I heard Akbar was throwing out the first pitch. I mean, I had visions of the big man going out there, throwing a frozen rope, and the crowd chanting, "Ah!" Didn't exactly work out that way, though. I mean, how hard can it be? Rich Eisen threw a strike. Guy's not even a punter. Not even an athlete.
Did you see the Philly Fanatics reaction? That was awesome.
From ESPN Films' critically acclaimed documentary series, 30 for 30, it's Akbar's First Pitch, presented by LensCrafters Prescription Eyewear, Friday at 8 p.m.
Presented by LensCrafters.
That was good. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's my new favorite movie of all time.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Okay, first off, I'm a huge fan of 30 for 30. And I would like to think of myself as a person that deserves one, but I don't. Just crying.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
Amazing. What if I told you?
Oh my gosh.
I told you.
That was bad.
Was
That you
Shawshank?
participated in this?
I thought it was real. I didn't know.
Oh my goodness.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Greg Cosell here on the Rich Eisen Show. So it sounds like you're not very high on Tua, Greg.
I would say he's a good prospect. I don't think he's a great prospect. I don't think there's anything about Tua's game when you watch him that you say, wow. I happen to be a Jordan Love fan. I like Jordan Love's game. I like his overall talent level. I like the fact that he's a ball distributor, that he's also a rhythm player.
So do you take Herbert over Tua?
I would potentially take Love over Tua, and I would take Love over Herbert.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now. Live.
The question is, how's it going to go?
This is the Rich Eisen Show. Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
We're kind of like the number one overall pick.
The Cincinnati Bengals select
Rich Eisen, Chris Brockman, Mike Del Tufo.
I'm into it.
I don't know about that.
Heard nationwide, online at richeisenshow.com. Earlier on the show, two-time Super Bowl champion Chris Long, comedian Bill Burr. Coming up, Iowa offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. Plus your phone calls, poll results, and more. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Lots going on in our neighborhood. Hour number 3 of the Rich Eisen Show on the air. Chris Long, hour number 1. Great chat with the two-time Super Bowl champ who said that he thought The football decision Tom Brady made was the wise one. Tough maybe for Patriots fans to swallow that the Bucs were a better football move for Brady.
Yeah.
Bill Burr, hour number 2, joining us to talk about a live stream that's going to go down at 7 Eastern tomorrow on Twitch, Comedy Central's YouTube page, Twitter, and also various other aspects for you to go to comedygivesback.com to find out how you can watch Laugh Aid tomorrow. Just a bunch of really funny people, Jimmy Fallon and Adam Sandler and Bill Burr and Bob Saget and so much more, including Jeffrey Ross will be joining us at the end of this hour as well to talk about all that. Tristan Wirfs, who is one of the top linemen available in this year's draft, he will be calling us in the middle of this hour. But joining us right now to talk some football and the latest in what is going on in the National Football League that does have a draft 3 weeks from last night going down. 3 weeks from today, it will be rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. MMQB senior reporter and good friend Albert Breer back on the show. How are you, Albert?
I'm good. How you doing, Rich? Everybody staying safe out there?
Yeah, we are. I hope everybody like you and your family. I know you got young kids, and I know you've got an extended family. I hope everybody is healthy and safe wherever they are too, Albert.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My wife's a nurse, so it's been an interesting time. I mean, she's in the children's hospital, so we're in a little bit of a different position. But I got to tell you, what some of the stories she comes home with are amazing. So I start with that. Like, just if anybody comes into contact with a doctor or a nurse they know over the next few weeks, be sure to thank them for what they're doing.
No doubt about it, Albert. I feel like we talk about them in a manner in which we should always, because without health, there's really nothing we can do. We talk about them in many ways that we talk about members of the military, thanking them for their service is basically what we're doing right now, because this is a war. I mean, that's a front line that they're on right now to battle this virus to get everybody healthy and back to normal. So I think that's applicable, you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's and they're some of our best people. I mean, I've always said this. The people I meet who are in that field, and I've got some of my family, like I mentioned my wife, I've got an uncle who's a surgeon, and I think for a lot of them, it's like the military too, and that it's a calling for them, and I know that's certainly the case with my wife, and I just, I think for a lot of them, they don't need to be thanked because they feel like, in a lot of ways, it's their purpose, it's why they're here, but I do know, after hearing how stressful it is going in there on a day-to-day basis now. It does help, to hear from other people. So, they're very much, I think they're some of our best people, our doctors and nurses, and it can't hurt anything it doesn't cost anybody anything to show gratitude to those people. Like it's well said that it's similar to, a soldier being in the front lines in battle.
Well, Albert, well said. Let's get, because of their hard work, and we still have the ability to talk about sports and talk about pop culture and entertainment and provide a respite. So top story of the day in the NFL is without a doubt Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy coming out today, GM and coach of the Bears, saying what we all assumed, that Nick Foles is coming to compete. It's an open competition at the quarterback spot in Chicago. How in the world is that going to play out, Albert?
It's going to be interesting, too, because they're not going to have the spring, in all likelihood, to go through it, and so it's going to be, I think, to some degree, a little bit of a fire drill when they get to the summer. And I think at the same time, I think part of the reason why the Bears proceeded the way they did, I know part of the reason they proceeded the way they did at the quarterback position was because they knew they were going to have to, A, continue to get Mitch Trubisky reps if they wanted to give him any chance at all, and B, find a way to bring in somebody new who would be able to get up to speed quickly. And that's why the two guys they targeted and when they were looking at different trade options were Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, because both those guys had background in the system. And so the fact that Foles was with, John DeFilippo in Philadelphia, the fact that he was with Matt Nagy in Kansas City is huge, because it means they won't have to get him up to speed on quite as much as you would a normal new player. And I think it's also, at the same time, kind of an acknowledgement of where they're at. I mean, they've got an awful lot of players that are right in the prime of their careers. Guys like Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson and Fuller. You can go right on down the line. There are a lot of guys that are sort of square in the prime of their careers. This window isn't going to last forever. And so I think they knew they needed better production out of that position based on where their cap situation is. They're probably going to have to make, some hard decisions over the next couple of years on some guys. And so, you just let the two guys compete and you see what you can do and try to get the most out of this sort of group of Chicago Bears. And that's going to be where they're at going into camp, is make a decision as quickly as you can. So then you can kind of give the team the word on who their quarterback's going to be, and then you can build around that guy. But, certainly a big part of this, without question, is the fallout of the decision to take Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, man, because you want to talk about, an admission of where you are. When you used that phrase a moment ago, I thought you were referring to the second overall pick of the draft, now 4 drafts ago, or soon to be 4 drafts ago, taken over the reigning MVP of the Super Bowl and an MVP candidate year in and year out, a very special player in Deshaun Watson, and admitting that you need to bring in competition for him. And there won't be any competition, as you point out, in the spring in which to make a decision whether you pick up a 5th-year option, right? I mean, how's that all going to work?
Right.
Albert?
I don't know. I don't know that they can pick up the 5th-year option. That's tough because, and look, like this year is only injury guaranteed. The difference, the different aspects of that in the CBA don't kick in until next year. So it'll only be injury guaranteed if they pick up the Mitch Trubisky's 5th-year option, but it's expensive. And if he gets hurt, then you're on the hook for it. And so here's what's tricky about that is, if you do decide, okay, we're going to pick up the 5th-year option on him, well, then if he doesn't win the job, you're in the situation the Redskins were in however many years ago with Robert Griffin. And you remember that, Rich. He was a healthy scratch every week, and they had to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Colt McCoy was there too, as a result of that, which means you lost 1 player off the team. And part of that for the Redskins was, well, we want to show confidence that, we still believe in Robert Griffin. So then say you decide you're not going to pick up the 5th-year option. Well, then, now what message are you sending to Mitch Trubisky? You didn't pick up the option. You brought out Nick Foles. And so how is that going to affect him? It's a tricky situation. And again, I mean, I think Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy have done a good job of building that team up over the last couple of years. But my God, if you look at the fallout from that one decision, a single decision, to go with Mitch Trubisky and trade up for Mitch Trubisky, when Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were sitting right there for them, it's right there for you. I mean, just a major, I could call it what it is, screw up there to go in one direction, not one of 2 others.
Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated, MMQB senior reporter, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Cam and Jameis, I think that they're going to have to wait till the draft to see how chips fall before they go ahead and get a gig. What do you think? What's the market like?
Yeah.
Right now?
Well, I mean, the one job that still seems to be open is the Chargers. And I know the Chargers are doing all of their homework on the guys who are going to be available. And so part of this could come down to who falls to them with the 6th pick or if they're willing to trade up. And I mean, look, having Tyrod Taylor there, if you're going to draft a guy that high, you sort of have a full quarterback room. And so if they weren't able to get somebody they like, with the 6th overall pick or through a trade up, then, that would be an opening for one of those 2 guys. I think the biggest issue for both of them, though, is the fact that they can't go in and sit in a team facility and get checked out, and with Cam, of course, it's physical. Where's his right shoulder at? Where's his left foot at? Like, how does he look physically? Teams want to have their doctors get hands on a guy like that. So that's a serious issue for him. And then with Jameis, I think as much as anything, it's wanting to sit down and kind of talk to the guy after his 5 years in Tampa and see where he's at mentally. And so I think for both those guys, they've really been hurt by the fact that they can't go into these facilities and sit down and talk to people. And I think it's, right now it sort of leaves both guys in kind of a precarious situation where Cam's got to prove, after being the centerpiece of everything in Carolina, being the centerpiece at Auburn, being the centerpiece at junior college, that he can kind of, exist as somebody who might be a little bit less than that. and he's got to prove he's healthy. And then Jameis, I think the best thing for him may be to go to a place that's got a starter in place and an established starter in place where, it's a stable franchise and, he can rehabilitate his stock. Maybe something like what Teddy Bridgewater had to do under different circumstances, where he went to New Orleans, got really good coaching, and a couple of years later, having been there for 2 years, really paid off.
Well, there's two other spots too where you look across the landscape, and you got two second-year players who are seemingly the starting quarterbacks at their current spots right now.
Mm-hmm.
One with a lot more experience than the other. You've got Gardner Minshew in Jacksonville. Will they stick with him? And then there's Jarrett Stidham. I know they brought in Hoyer for the umpteenth time in New England. I mean, how will those quarterback rooms be affected by the next few weeks, do you think?
Well, let's start with New England. There's a very real kind of like timeline you can look through that sort of explains why New England may think they've got a first-round talent on their hands. And if you look at Jarrett Stidham's background, he was the number one high school quarterback in the country coming out of high school, right? He goes to Baylor, starts as a true freshman, plays well, and then, of course, the sexual abuse scandal blows up. So his coach gets fired, and he has to transfer. He transfers to Auburn, where they're running the offense that was built for Cam Newton, which isn't a great fit for him. So when the Patriots drafted him in the fourth round last year, they sort of looked at him as a distressed asset. A guy who's got got great talent, great kid, checks off a lot of boxes, but didn't play that well college because he was in a situation that didn't fit him great, which really wasn't his fault if you look at the timeline of it. And so I think they do want to give him a shot. Doesn't mean they're not going to draft somebody, but if you look at it, it's his personal situation where he's at, his price tag, their cap situation, you add it up, and there's opportunity there for them to sort of come out of 2020 with real clean financials at the quarterback position after carrying a $13.5 million dead money hit on Brady this year. As for Jacksonville, I think that they are going to give themselves some insurance behind Gardner Minshew. I just wouldn't be surprised if it's not Andy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually Andy Dalton and not Cam or Jameis. And the reason why is because Jay Gruden's there.
Yep.
And Jay Gruden worked with Andy Dalton his first 3 years in the league. There's a very close relationship there. And we know the kind of guy Andy Dalton is, that maybe personality-wise he would fit behind a young quarterback a little bit better than the other two. And so I think, you look at both those situations, and there could be opportunity if the bottom just falls out on either Cam or Jameis and the price is so cheap they have to look at it. But I think in both situations there's probably a different path that those teams are going.
Last one for you, Albert Breer. 3 weeks from today, we will be through the first round of the NFL draft. Your best guess on the top 3 picks and who chooses them 3 weeks from today that we're talking about, the top 3 picks would be who and by whom, Albert?
Okay, I would tell you the Bengals have done so much work on Joe Burrow. And this includes, this goes back, they've used every resource and pulled every lever. And this goes to, I don't know if people know this, but Joe Burrow's ex-college roommate, Sam Hubbard, is actually on the Bengals roster. So they used him as a resource to get to Burrow. Obviously Zach Taylor has a relationship with Joe Burrow's dad, Jimmy Burrow, because at one time Jimmy Burrow was at Ohio University and Zach Taylor was at the University of Cincinnati. They used to see each other out recruiting. And so the Bengals have just kind of moved every mountain to get to know Joe Burrow as well as they possibly can. I think that they're going to take him number 1 overall, which is the chalk here. And then, my guess is the Redskins kind of do all the homework on Tua. They kick the tires on a trade, and then they wind up taking Chase Young second. And then I think the Lions auction the 3rd pick. I don't think the Lions want to move down too far. So they'd love for a Miami or a Los Angeles, but the Chargers to come up and get that pick. Because, at the top of this draft, there are going to be 4 elite defensive players. Chase Young's one, Jeff Okuda's another, Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons are the other 2. So I think the Lions would love to be in a situation where they could trade down and still not fall out of range to get one of those guys. So if they stick where they are because they traded Darius Slay, my guess it'd be Jeff Okuda. It's not a home. That's not me being a homer, but I think that's the way they go. But I do think that they're going to do everything they can to try to create a market for that 3rd overall pick.
Thanks for the call, Albert. Best to your wife, best to your family. Let's chat next week, week after. Look for my call. We'll make this on the regular before the draft, that's for sure. You take care.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rich. And stay safe out there, all right?
You got it. That's Albert Breer right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Just a couple things right there. I think it is Burrow and Young, and I think the Lions absolutely trade out. And if I'm them, I trade out with the Dolphins, go to 5, and then sit there and wait for the phone to ring and hope that the Chargers don't make a choice with the Giants. Because I know they'll know the Giants can sit there and say, all right, Lions are behind us right now. They're not going to take the pass protector that we need. They need Akuda. We're going to go pass protector or Isaiah Simmons. We can get that at 6 too. And let's use this right now. And that's the dice that the Lions roll. But at least if they go 3 down to 5, they're still sitting there at 5 and they get all the Dolphins picks. But they also run, Gettleman never trades his picks in the first round.
Right.
So they could sit there and say that and then call the Chargers up and say, hey, we're getting enough. People are going crazy for Justin Herbert right now. What do you say? I'm telling you, that's the way the Lions game the top of this draft. That's one thought. And the other thought, Minshew and Dalton sounds like a great, wacky CBS crime-fighting team from the 80s, right?
Can you imagine Iron Eagles?
Or is it Dalton and Minshew?
Iron
Minshew
Eagles
and Dalton?
reads for that? I think it's Minshew and Dalton.
Minshew and Dalton sounds like, hey.
Minshew first.
It sounds like something that Summerall would say. Tonight, an all-new Minshew and Dalton on CBS.
Minshew and Dalton.
Yeah,
Minshew and Dalton.
Hey, big pause.
Stay tuned tonight as Ben Vereen stars. Minshew and Dalton.
Yes.
We get Wilford Brimley and
Dalton. Yeah.
Charo.
Special guest star Charo. Minshew and Dalton.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Tristan Wirfs, Jeffrey Ross, still to come. When we come back, man, would this guy look good on your offensive line? And Becton and Wills, just again, you just heard Burrow, Young, Tua, Wills, Herbert potentially, or Akuda, and then Herbert. And then you're sitting there at 7. You're Carolina Panthers. You've got Wirfs, Becton, Simmons sitting there. Oh my! Derek Brown has even been mentioned. It's deep, this draft. 844-204-RICH, also the number to dial. Tristan Wirfs when we come back. Jeffrey Ross, the Roastmaster General, right behind him to wrap up our week. And again, I just didn't bring this up with Albert because the way the conversation was going. I think he does need to get out a little bit. He tweeted out just before he joined us, I'll say this, Lululemon makes incredible sweatpants.
By the way, I'll back that up. I'm wearing some Lulu joggers.
Are you doing that right now?
Yeah.
Joggers. When was the last time you jogged? Went for a jog. When was the last time you jogged? When was the last time you ran? I know the last time I ran.
Like ran?
Like I need to get from this point to that point in a very fast for some reason. Whether it's to get from point A to point B fast for whatever reason, you had to chase somebody down, chase something down, or you actually were working out. When was the last time you jogged or ran fast?
Probably during
January?
a rec basketball game.
When was that? January?
No, it would have been the fall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mike, when was the last time you ran? Treadmill, otherwise ran.
I've thought about running a lot.
I ran out of the store about a week ago.
Come on.
What do you mean you ran out of a store?
Just got out. Too many people.
Just got out.
Got out.
So you ran in the name of social distance.
Yes.
So you created you covered distance.
I covered distance.
Did you take a 5-finger discount? Is that
no,
why you ran
no. I would never do that.
Okay,
Come on.
very good. I don't know.
I was a security officer.
But you ran out. You ran out. But that's just like you probably got a little hitch and you're giddy up and then ran.
Yeah, I was out of breath when I got to my car. But
that's part of the reason why I'm so proud of the fact that I run at the combine. I'm running.
I mean, you're running for 6 seconds.
What are you talking about? I'm running to prepare for the 6 seconds. And then I ran 6 seconds 3 times. What are you talking about?
So you ran for 18 seconds?
Dude.
Double. Good job, Brockman. That's true.
I'm running out of toilet paper if anyone's talking about running.
That is a voice from our distant side. We are so actually. I'm now more pleased than ever, not just for health reasons, to be socially distant from you, TJ.
I'm way in the corner.
You're
guys.
way. I mean, you are deep.
I mean, I took that 6 foot and then doubled it.
He's in that part between the garage and the Green Monster right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's our part of the Rich Eisen show set over there. I mean, Don has found the one angle where we can find TJ. There he is. There's a silhouette of TJ. There he is. He's in that niche.
I'm socially distant, folks.
You are indeed. I know. Last time I ran, it was like about 2.5 weeks ago when I was working out. Last time I went to the gym.
What'd you do?
I ran on the treadmill with Peter Park, my guy.
Oh yeah, I probably ran on the treadmill in like February.
I missed the gym. No sweaty selfies. I'm kind of.
Well, you got to do it at home, Mike. You got to get some workout.
Yeah,
in.
you got to
I
get
walk.
something.
I'm
in.
walking. I walk.
Have you seen the videos of?
Down.
Did you see the video?
Yeah,
I think a guy in the UK ran a marathon in his backyard.
Yes,
in his backyard.
They were just showing that on CNN.
Were they?
Yes, that's great. That's amazing. To raise.
How do you do that?
That's got to be tougher than a marathon, regular marathon. It was a small yard, Don. It was ridiculous. It probably had been about tens of thousands of circles.
Yeah.
There was a guy who ran a marathon on his back deck. I want to say Chicago. It might not have been, but he ran
back and forth.
That's got to be tougher than a marathon because it's the monotony,
doubt.
the sheer monotony.
Yeah, no doubt.
I wouldn't know.
I mean,
not running a marathon.
I ain't running a marathon.
This show's enough of a marathon.
No chance.
This show's enough.
No way.
Oh, Don Bowie says this segment feels like a marathon.
TJ, I think I'm in.
It's Friday. It's 11:20.
Yeah, I mean, fifth day of the week.
I know the last time Tristan Wirfs ran.
I got an 8-hour show tonight.
I'm sure that will probably be the last 40-yard dash Tristan Wirfs will have ever run in his life. Look at that right there.
I mean, that's nuts.
I
can't do that.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. How many plates is that? That looks like 4 plates.
I could
That's
lift that many
500 pounds
plates of
right
food.
there. That would break my wrists.
That's
Wait,
insane.
Is he power cleaning 5 something?
That's crazy.
4 and change, apparently, that is right there. Look at that.
All right, we'll
like 425 right there, right?
Are we almost back from break? Because I know Tristan's
Are those
been on hold here.
425s or 425?
Like that's 845.
I know.
plates.
That's what I mean. That's insane.
Do the math.
I know.
Include the bar, and that is a power clean right there. How much time do we want back?
About 50.
50 seconds. Very good.
All right.
All right, we're back with Tristan Wirfs in a second. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. You know, when I host the Combine for NFL Network, there's so much to try and take in. One of my favorite stories that I heard that I'm eager to get confirmed right here, that my next guest, Tristan Wirfs, who was a 2-time state champion in the shot put and discus, for his track and field practice in his hometown, population of about 4,000 plus, Mount Vernon, Iowa, would throw his discus so far in the track and field practice that it would wind up past a fence and land in a tennis court on the other side of the fence, and that he had to alter his practice schedule for the safety of the people who played tennis on that court. Tristan Wirfs here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Tristan?
I'm good. How are you?
Is that a true story that I just told?
Yes. Yep, that is a true story.
So somebody's playing tennis, and here comes a discus that you threw so far that nobody thought it could go that far? Is that literally what was happening?
Yeah, pretty much. The girls' tennis team was out there practicing, and we'd be practicing at the same time. And my first one happened my junior year, and they were out there, and it went flying by this girl's head, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't do this anymore." You have to.
So, but you were accommodating. Like, you'll change your schedule. They didn't have to change their schedule. You'll just change your schedule to warm up. Right?
Yeah, because it was it was their whole team, and it was just me throwing. So it was easier for me to just change instead of them having to find a whole new time.
Well, did it leave a mark in the hard court, like a divot?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't leave a divot, but you could see it scrape, like the metal rim of the discus would scrape that hard court.
When did you realize that you could do things like that for the first time, Tristan?
I think it was just over the course of growing up. Like I just try something or see something I'd want to try, and then if I couldn't get it, I'd keep trying until I got it. And if I got it the first time, then I got it. So it wasn't really like one specific time where I just started to do all these things. It was just kind of over the course of growing up, being outside all the time, climbing on stuff, wanting to see if I can jump up and touch something or just stuff like that. So I think it's just always been happening since I was a kid.
And when did you say, okay, let's give this football thing a try? Who was the first one to say, let's do this?
I've been playing flag football for as early as I could remember, and then I had to go to Cedar Rapids, 10, 15 minutes away from Mount Vernon to play tackle football in fourth grade because Mount Vernon didn't have it that early. So fourth grade was the first time I played tackle football.
Fourth grade tackle football? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay. Were you taking people do you have a head on a swivel in the fourth grade? I mean, that's when you're 10 years old. That must have been significant.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I got to play with a lot of guys. You know who Rocky Lombardi is?
Okay. Who's that?
He's the Michigan State quarterback right now.
Yeah. I'm a Wolverine, Tristan. Tristan, I'm a Wolverine. I don't pay attention to that school in Green.
Oh, I got you. I
mean, the whole Big Ten thing.
Yeah, but I played with him, and it was a good time.
So were you playing other fourth graders, or did you step up in grade when you're playing that?
Yeah, we were playing other fourth graders. Yep.
Okay. Very good. And now I'm watching you on the screen right here of you putting up over 500 pounds. What in the world is that like? I mean, I honestly am trying to put myself in your shoes with that feat of strength that you're able to pull off that we're seeing on the screen from Hawkeye football.
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal moment. We had our weight room records down on the wall in the hallway. We walked by it every day, going to the weight room, going to practice. And it was always on my mind, I remember I got there and, a lot of people were telling me that it was like, that'll never be broken. And it just gave me something to shoot for, and then that day was pretty special. I walked into the facility and guys were asking me, what I was going to have on the bar, how much I was going to do. And I really had no idea. And I remember getting in the weight room and Coach Doyle grabbed my lift card from me and he wrote down 450 on it. So it was pretty much, just had to strap up and get after it.
And I'm just watching you scream right now, and your teammates behind you just going totally nuts, and that must have been a heck of a feeling. Tristan Wirfs here on the Rich Eisen Show. What has your process been like? No pro day, and obviously there will be no face-to-face visits. How often are you, I guess, Zooming, teleconferencing with teams right now, Tristan?
Yeah, so I've had 3 or 4 phone calls, and then I had my first Zoom one earlier this week. Then I got a lot more scheduled in the coming weeks. But yeah, it's definitely different. Very, very weird times. Not having the pro day and not being around my teammates, training with them and everything. But just trying to stay as close to in a routine as I can. There's a little gym in Iowa City where they let me come in and train. So So that's been real nice. Just trying to keep up. The routine like we had. When we were training with Coach Doyle, he sent us lift cards like just through text so we could keep doing what we were doing. Yeah, it's been different.
Which teams have you spoken to, Tristan?
The Buccaneers. I just had the Buccaneers. I had the Zoom call with. I had a FaceTime with the Patriots. I had a call with the Ravens. A call with the Chargers and Dolphins. And then I got the Browns, the Cardinals, and the Falcons coming up next week. And there's one more that's in my phone, but I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Well, you are a man in demand, Tristan Wirfs. Did Kirk Ferentz fix you up with the Patriots one? I know him and Belichick go way, way back.
Yeah, they've known each other for quite a while.
Okay, and so was Bill on the call? Was Belichick on the Zoom call?
No, it was just with one of their O-line guys.
Okay, and was the same thing? What about the Bucs? Was Arians on that call?
Bucs I had. No, he wasn't on there.
Okay.
I had two O-line guys, and then I think their OC.
Well, Leftwich is the man. So, what would that be like if you protect Tom Brady? Obviously, I know you want to get in a certain spot. It doesn't matter who takes you; you'll give him 100%. But what would that mean for you to protect Tom Brady as a freshman in the NFL?
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy, honestly. Because Tom Brady, he's been in the league for almost as since I've been born. He came in what 2000. I was born in '99. So I think that's pretty crazy just thinking about that. But getting a block for him would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I imagine it would be. And when you are envisioning your career, Tristan, what was, because there's a ton of competition at your spot. What would you say about what a team would get with you? Who would a team get in Tristan Wirfs should they choose you as the first lineman, second lineman, or just in the first round? Who would they get?
Yeah, I think they're going to get a pretty genuine person, somebody's going to come to work every day, ready to go. I think that plays a role from coming from University of Iowa. We're held to a higher standard. I think Coach Doyle, Coach Ferentz, they're no nonsense type of guys. So I'm just going to come in and handle my business and do my best to get the job done.
Okay. What's it like to wave to the Children's Hospital and see the kids wave back, Tristan? As you guys do? What is that like?
It's amazing. Getting to be a part of that is extremely special. My freshman year, we had or my sophomore year, sorry. One of the other old linemen, he had twin daughters that were born during the season, and they were up there for one of the games. So they're a little bit premature, but just getting to have somebody that up there waving to them is pretty special. And I love going over there and visiting with the kids because sometimes as football players we'll kind of have that attitude where it's like, oh, we have to go do this, we have to go to that, have to go out to practice or something. And then you go up there and visit with those kids and it just puts a smile on their face, and their parents will say, oh, I haven't heard them laugh in how long, I haven't seen them smile. And us just coming over and spending a little bit of time with them, like we can get that out of them, it totally changes how you feel. Like we're able to, go out to practice and then play the sport we love while these kids are going, up there going through things we can't even imagine. So I love getting away to them.
Well, Tristan, it's my favorite. Look, college football is just amazing for so many reasons, and tradition is one of them. It's my favorite tradition in any college at any spot. That the Children's Hospital overlooks the stadium and everybody stops and waves at the kids who are in the window. I got 3 kids, 11, 9, and 6. The run that I do at the Combine every year is for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It's something so near and dear. Like, I'm getting emotional just talking about it, Tristan.
Yeah. It's pretty special. I was raising money, off my vertical jump to give to the Children's Hospital at the Combine, and that was, I had so much support in that, the state of Iowa and so many other people, my goal was 33 inches, and I went 36 and a half, and I was like, hopefully I make everybody's money worth it.
You sure did, man. I mean, that when that number came in front of us in the booth at NFL Network, we did look to see if there was a misprint. I'm not lying. I mean, somebody your size is not supposed to jump that high, and then obviously running 4.85 at the combine. That was something else. So, where do you think you're going to be spending draft night right now? What is that plan right now for you, Tristan?
Yeah, probably just in good old Mount Vernon with some of my family.
Okay, and 4,000 of your socially distant friends in that town, in that small town.
Yep.
Know,
yeah, they'll all have my back too.
Okay, so I'm glad to know that you're well, and the girls' tennis team is still all well. Correct? That everybody's.
Yep, they're all doing just fine.
They survived your track and field process. I love that story. It's one of my favorite stories, and I look forward to seeing where you wind up in the NFL. And let's stay in touch as you go about your career, Tristan.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the call. You got it. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. You bet. My pleasure. At Tristan Wirfs 74 on Twitter, Tristan_Wirfs 74 on Instagram. One of the good ones. Yeah, we're looking at that picture. Thanks for putting that up there, Don Bowie, our coordinating producer, and the rest of our stellar crew that's pulling these photographs. Look at those people waving to the Children's Hospital. I mean, I just get emotional about it. I'm getting goosebumps just even talking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And Tristan Wirfs, one of the good ones. That's a true story. That's what I heard. Like he would just be throwing the discus, and it would go way further than anybody thought it could. A human could throw it, and it wound up on a tennis court. And we're like, okay, hold on a second. I didn't know it was the girls' tennis team.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I looked up the article story here. The track coach was quoted in a local newspaper. Ryan Whitman quoted in the local newspaper, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Kind of a holy crap type of moment.
Yeah, like whiffed by her head.
Hey, man, he had a lot of those at the combine. 36.5 at 320 pounds. Holy crap. 4.85 Think about it. 4.85 Holy crap. Those thighs, holy crap, the whole thing. Putting up 450 in the weight room. Holy crap.
I'm trying to find how far his championship discus throw was.
All right, we'll do that. Take a break. Let's finish up with a little bit of laughs. Our buddy Jeffrey Ross will wrap us up in a second. Okay, everybody, we're still here. You're looking that up. You look that up while I text Jeffrey, okay?
Okay.
Let me just text him to make sure he understands. We're calling him in a second. We are calling in 5 minutes. Let me take this call. Chad in North Dakota. Pop him up there, Mike Del Tufo. What's up, Chad? How are you? You're on our YouTube feed, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. What's going on?
Yeah, hey, Rich. I'm doing good. How are you?
What's on your mind, brother?
So I am a college student getting actually a second bachelor's degree, graduating in May here. My concern with this whole coronavirus thing is I'm trying to get into sport broadcasting to do, something similar to what you're doing, be a sports TV host, things like that. And, with all the uncertainty with sports and when they'll resume and all the live events, on pause, it's kind of like I'm at the point where, like, what do you do from here, getting into that realm. I did an internship in college where, I was doing fall sports and spring sports. All those were canceled. So, couldn't add my experience there. But,
man,
I wanted to get your thoughts on
I
that.
hear you. I mean, obviously, it's a difficult time to get work or to break into work or whatever. How old are you, Chad?
I'm 25.
Okay.
I'm working on a second degree, but
Got
getting
it.
into broadcast.
I was 24 when I got my first TV job. So, I started, if you will, in that respect, late. But there's really no such thing as late. And we're going to get through this. Everybody's going to get through this. I just hope as many people as we all know and love survive this. You're just hearing how this virus takes over so many people's bodies and just ravages it. And let's hope that we keep that number down to the lowest and that we all get back out there together and the sports world will return. When the sports world returns, it's going to be glorious. And then there'll be so much to talk about. In the meantime, if you want to do stuff, I did not have, when I was 24, 25, like YouTube right here, or the ability to buy a microphone and plug it into a laptop and talk into it and create your own podcast and create your own conversations. You know, I know there's no live sports to talk about, and that makes the concept of doing something like what you want to do troubling. But, you know, if you can just wait it out, sports will return and you'll be able to do this and just keep your mental reps and your actual reps going by creating your own podcast, creating your own spot, posting it to YouTube, sending it around to a bunch of people to say, when you do have a job, front load the interview. When you do have a gig, I'm your guy, and I'm showing you how enterprising I am in my own spare time. Does that make sense?
Appreciate that, Rich.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, that's my thing. It's just finding a way to take advantage of working from home and being at home. And
yeah, you know, like I said, I mean, so many times I would wonder, how do I make a tape? How do I make a resume reel? You know, to use the phrase back in the 90s, you know, how do I make a reel? How do I do it? And how do I get people to hear me or see me? I need to get on the air. I need to get on an internship or something like that. And, you know, I wish that there was social media and YouTube and, you know, I would have to create a tape, get to an edit bay to create a tape. Now you could just do it on your own laptop and link it out in an email and send it to people, or post it to so many different members of social media, Twitch, YouTube. Go for it, you know? I mean, there's so many different ways for you to attempt it. Just think about what you want to say and keep doing it. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Thanks for the call,
Appreciate all
Chad.
the great
You hang in
advice.
there, brother. You got it. Hang in there. That's Chad. All right, we're back with Jeff Ross in a second. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. I want to thank today's guests, Tristan Wirfs of Iowa football, Albert Breer, and Chris Long. That was a lot of fun. And Bill Burr. Bill Burr came on to talk about the live stream that's starting at 7 Eastern tomorrow night, 4 Pacific, Twitch and YouTube, Comedy Central's YouTube feed, Twitter, and so many more spots for you to go check it out. And part of that live stream to make people laugh and raise money for those who are suffering from COVID-19, certainly in the comedy world, is our buddy, the Roastmaster General himself, Jeffrey Ross. How are you, Jeffrey Ross?
Hey, Big Rich. Great to hear from you, pal.
Oh, come on. I love you so much. I don't really care who knows it. What's this live stream about, Jeff? Your heart is as big as your comedy game, and I knew you'd be part of this thing. What's going on with this tomorrow?
Comedy Gives Back is an organization that helps out comedians who aren't working, who are sick, and nobody's working right now. Luckily, I have a cushion, but there's a lot of comics that are really stuck right now, so we're going to raise money for them, which is a good idea. But if you think about it, the ones who are really suffering are the close-up magicians right now. They are making zero money.
Right. So basically, people can tune in and who's going to be at the mic tomorrow? I mean, and what's it going to look
well,
like? Is it just everybody from their own spots just surfing in or
Yep.
streaming in and just doing their stuff?
Dave Attell and I are going to go side by side via Zoom and bump mics virtually with Bob Saget.
Yeah. When is that?
We're going to do our bumping mic show.
What time is
somewhere
that?
in the live stream.
Okay.
I think it's somewhere in the first hour, but I'm not sure. It's like a 3 or 4 hour telethon.
That's amazing.
Literally a telethon on the telephone.
Right.
So it'll be fun.
Okay, fantastic. I know what you've been up to lately. You had a heck of an April Fool's joke that you pulled on everybody, Jeffrey, did you not?
I couldn't believe it. I've never pranked anybody in my life. It works so well.
So on your podcast, you made it seem
Yeah.
like you spoke to the Tiger King himself from his cell. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do a podcast out of my house.
Right.
And my buddy Jeremiah Watkins does a dead-on impression of the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. So I was like, let me just call Jeremiah as Joe Exotic and say it's that I used my contacts from roasting prisoners in Texas, where this guy is housed.
Right.
And see if people buy into it. And we did a 15-minute interview, and Jeremiah was so hilarious and sounded so much like the guy that like hundreds of thousands of people bought into it, including Harvey Levin from TMZ.
But wasn't there some of the Easter eggs that might have been included in that, just total gags like that you'd think that nobody would buy what was happening, Jeff? Right?
He was screaming how he was going to get out of jail and kill Carol Baskin. He was saying things that no lawyer would ever let him say. He committed crimes during the interview, and then he had a guitar and started singing. I was like, what prison would ever let? But I think people love this maniac so much they went with it.
Right, and I like the I guess the still photograph that you had him on a payphone, made it look like it was live, even though clearly it wasn't live. I kind of like what you did, Jeff. You really added the value to it, the production value. That's fantastic.
Well, it's worth a listen. It's called Thick Skin with Jeff Ross. Wednesday's episode called Tiger King calls Jeff Ross from prison. And the best part is, like, if you look at, people really. First of all, I love animals, Rich. I would never have this maniac on my podcast. This guy's in prison for, abusing animals and humans, by the way.
Right.
But there's 7 episodes that have completely captivated the public. So I was like, this is going to be a fun way to do the podcast and make some laughs and. April Fool's Day is my comedy anniversary.
What do you mean?
This is my first year in 31 years. My first time on stage was April Fool's Day, 1989.
Where?
At the ye old Triple Inn on 54th Street in Manhattan. I followed a bongo player.
Was it McConaughey or was back in the day? Or no?
It may have been. I was Jeff Lifschultz, this fat, chubby loser living in New Jersey with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And my buddy Mark Chapin talked me into taking a comedy class. And the day before our graduation, I went to my first open mic on March 31st, 1989, but then I didn't get on until 1 a.m., so officially April Fool's Day.
Yes.
And it was my first time on stage, and I did pretty well, actually. There was a couple Navy guys in town for Fleet Week, as I recall, and my jokes weren't working, but I started making fun of these guys for having mustard stains on their white uniforms in New York.
Do you remember?
And a young insult comic was born.
And the young insult and the Roastmaster General was born. And when was the first time you? I texted you a YouTube link I had. I don't know what pops up because I do like the old Johnny Carson shows of Buddy Hackett, and I sent that to you because I know Buddy Hackett was was one of your idols. When was the first time you met Rickles? You got a good Rickles story? Give me your favorite Rickles story, Jeffrey.
The first time I met Rickles was at the American Comedy Awards that they used to do it in Hollywood. And I was with my pal Adam Ferrara, who was getting a Comedian of the Year, Young Comedian kind of award. And I was his +1. We had our rented tuxedos. We walk into the ballroom, and we're at table 239. Don Rickles is at table 1. So we work our way up to the front, and Don sees these 2 comedians coming at him out of the side of his eye. And just as we're about to go, Mr. Rickles, Don looks at us and goes, "All right, kids, don't make a thing."
He beat you to the punch and said that?
Yeah, man. And I felt like part of the club. He was very warm to us, and I wound up performing for him and with him many, many times. I always say he had the black belt in busting balls.
That's great.
I miss that guy. I miss the truth tellers right now. Joan Rivers, I was thinking about yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that post.
Just so interesting right now, talking about the world.
I know.
Comedy. It's as journalism gets so opinionated, it's kind of interesting to see the comics being brutally honest and unfiltered, and we don't have to worry about corporate sponsors usually, and we get to speak our mind, and I think it's really important, and that's why another reason I thought the Comedy Gives Back Laugh Bait event was important, because comics don't have a union. We don't really look out. No one looks out for us. We're like a cult. We have to look out for each other.
Well, we had Bill Burr on an hour or two, and I just wanted to have you on for sure, just to connect with you. I know I've been texting back and forth with you. I want to come on your pod. I will play myself, not in jail. I rescue 2 dogs. I love animals. It'll be good.
I rescued a dog yesterday.
Did you really? Congrats.
My girlfriend brought home a dirty, mangy, old, blind, limping dog.
Okay.
Who smells like King Kong's armpit, but I love her already. It's been 1 day.
What's her name? What'd you name her?
I named her Rona.
Rona? Okay. Very good.
I did. I named her Rona after this time, and I don't want to ever forget it. And, there's a silver lining to all this darkness, and I think that's that we're appreciating life a little bit more. And each other a little bit more.
Well, I can't wait to watch tomorrow at 7 Eastern time.